On this episode of the DTVC podcast, Chris the Brain Kacvinsky is back on, and we are looking at Detention, Dolph Lundgren's Die Hard in a school film. So, stay tuned for that in just a bit. A couple things. Next week is Chris's birthday. I was thinking it was this week, but it's next week. So we're close to his birthday for this episode. It would be nice if you listen to it this week, but if you don't listen to it this week, at least listen to it next week for his birthday. I think that'll be a good thing for everybody. The other thing is that at the early part of the episode, we talk a little bit about AI, and I mentioned Ed Zitron, who I really love. If you haven't checked out Ed Zitron, go check out on YouTube. There's the Tech Report. He's a guest every Friday on that. He has his own podcast called Better Offline, and I think he has a newsletter called Where's Your Ed At? But anyway, he does a really great reporting on AI and the AI bubble and all of that. But I made the comment that his last name Zitron is like the German word for orange. It's not. It's the German word for lemon. So you can see it's been 25 years since I last took German classes. So it's been a little while. I'm a little rusty on it. But anyway, the other big warning that I've got to make about this episode is Chris and I go back and forth about who we think the baddie looks like. And I said kind of like a slimmer, more hipster, like 2000s ravish kind of Adam Richman. But he was like, no, it's the lead singer of Everclear. And the moment you hear anything, music-wise with Everclear, Father of Mine just gets into my head. And I think it happens for everybody. So just a warning, you're probably going to come out of this episode with Father of Mine stuck in your head. So anyway, stay tuned for that. We'll get to that episode in just a little bit. Another really great conversation we have there with Chris. Next week, Ty is on for his monthly spot. We're looking at two movies from Ruby Rose. We are looking at Stowaway with Frank Grillo and Vanquished with Morgan Freeman. So a couple of old standbys from the pod, Freeman and Grillo, firing up the Grillo again. But that'll be next week. And then in 2 weeks' time, Jeanette Ward from Mundane Adventures of a Fangirl, she is back on, and we are talking about Kickboxer 2. So another really fun conversation there as well. So that'll be happening in 2 weeks. And actually, we are fully recorded through the month of May. So even the month of May is all set, unless something comes up and maybe we squeeze in an episode here or there. But for the most part, May is set. We've got episodes recorded. John's going to be back on talking more erotic thrillers. Of course, Ty is always back for his monthly spot. Sean Malloy from I Must Break This Podcast, he's back on to talk more Van Damme. And Mitch, the Video Vacuum, he's going to be on. We're going to be looking at Champagne and Bullets. So that's all next month. So stay tuned for that as well. Now, I know last week I said, DTVC Extra, probably not going to do one of those for a while. We might have one coming because I'm going to be guesting on the Bulletproof Pod for next week's episode. We're going to be talking about The Last Crusade. And so I'm going through all of the Indiana Jones movies to kind of get myself up to speed to be able to talk Last Crusade better, and realize I could probably do a DTVC Extra on all of them. It's just sort of the whole thing. So that may be coming. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. But so far I'm up through Last Crusade. And one of the interesting things I realized, I was telling Ty this when we recorded for the May episode of the pod that he's on, I realized that I don't think I've ever seen Temple of Doom all the way through. I think I saw Temple of Doom up to when Short and Round helps them escape, and he's got the block of wood on the gas pedal. I don't really remember the rest of the movie after that, and I'm wondering either if I turned it off or I was watching it on the Movie Lofts on Channel 38 in Boston or something and fell asleep. So I've gone the last 30 plus years thinking I'd seen Temple of Doom, and I don't think I had. When I watched it, I didn't really remember any of it. So interesting thing to discover there when you're watching this. But anyway, so there might be a DTVC Extra coming there with that. And YouTube channel, again, I'm still working on trying to get that Seagal episode out as well. This another Seagal video looking at Into the Sun. And then on the site, so this past week we did Cop Game. So kind of got back into the Bruno Mattei, got some more Brent Huff up. So that episode, that review is on the site. This week, speaking of Van Damme, Kill 'Em All 2, which I believe Sean and I did early last year. So in early 2025, I think we did both Kill 'Em Alls. Or sometime sometime in the early part of 2025, in the first half of the year. And I went to do my review of Kill 'Em All 2 and discovered that because my wife and I had dialed down our Netflix to an ad version, for some reason that movie was gated. You couldn't watch Kill 'Em All 2 if you had the ad version. And I wasn't going, I need, I need to get screenshots to be able to do my reviews. So I've been waiting all this time. Suddenly they lifted the gates on all of them. So everything that was gated for me as someone with the ad version, so for some reason they're all available now. So anyway, Kill 'Em All 2, we'll finally get that one reviewed this weekend here. So I don't know what number that is for Van Damme. It's in the 30s for sure. I think he's closing in on, he might make 40 Club. I don't know how many more movies of his we could do, but we'll see. We'll see what comes there. That's pretty much everything in terms of our stuff we got going on. Again, guesting on other spots, Bulletproof Action, I will be recording this week with them, and we should be up next week looking at Last Crusade. So really fun Indiana Jones film. So, excited to be back on with those guys. I was on before. I was on last year. We talked about Virtual Assassin, a.k.a. Cyberjack. So you can check that out. And also, they just hit their 200th episode this week. They're looking at Death Wish. So really fun episode there. I think, that's one of those movies. There's like a group of movies that I feel like need to get the bulletproof treatment. That should be a term or an expression, but like Remo Williams was one I was excited for them to cover. Gladiator, the Gladiator that had Cuba Gooding Jr. Really excited to hear them do that one. Hercules in New York, and Death Wish is definitely one of those ones where you're just like, yeah, you got to hear what those guys have to think about it. So check that out. If you're not subscribed to the pod, you should be, but also they're on YouTube as well, so you can check the episode out there. But I will be on next week to talk about Last Crusade with them. And then, of course, over Exploding Helicopter, I've done the last couple episodes on there, so the March and the April episodes, so you can check me out on that one as well. I guess that's everything, except did I forget to mention that I have a new book out called Mark and Sales? Link in the podcast description. You can check it out. If you're not interested in Mark and Sales, I've got, 5 other books plus the short action novel, Bainbridge. Bainbridge is still available. That's probably the cheapest of my books if you're looking for some action. Bainbridge is kind of in the mold of early 90s action based in LA, kind of PM entertainment, over the top kind of stuff. Cop on the Edge, John Bainbridge, former Special Forces in Dam, taking down a drug cartel. And then there's a conspiracy that goes all the way to the top during an election year, of course, as well. And he's got to bring them all down. So Bainbridge, you can get that. That's probably the cheapest because it's really short. It's like 28,000 words. So you read through it, in probably in a day or something like that. And I'm working on a sequel to that one. So we'll see what happens there as well. All right, we're already at 7.5 minutes. So why don't we have John from Miscellaneous Plumbing Fixtures playing our theme song. And then when we come back, Chris the Brain Kacvinsky is on, and we are going to be looking at Detention. Hey everyone, welcome back to the DTVC podcast. As always, this is Matt here, and I'm joined once again. We have very special guest, Chris the Brain Kacvinsky from Bulletproof Action. Welcome back, Chris.
Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 ba-dum, bum. Yes, I'm back, everyone. It's great to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you. I got to try to say your name. I don't know if because I say Chris the Brain Kacvinsky, if it comes out all in one thing, but for some reason, the AI Spotify thing doesn't pick up that you're a guest because it has this thing where it picks up who the guest is on the podcast episode. I also write it in the description. You think it would just say, oh, okay, that's, or maybe if it just had a field where I could just write, this is my guest. But no, they don't let you do that. So.
Well, I can tell you in 2026, AI hates me. So, it's par for the course.
Yeah, I listen to a podcaster, journalist, guest on YouTube videos, Ed Citron, who just absolutely crushes AI, and he's just waiting. I think he's thinking like it's possible. everybody talks about AI like, oh, you got to get on board because you don't want to be like Blockbuster, with Netflix. You got to,
Right.
but it's probably more like AI is probably more like WeWork, where it's like everybody thinks it's the greatest thing ever, and there's probably going to be an Apple documentary or an Apple drama series with Jared Leto playing Sam Altman from OpenAI, to calculate talking about the rise and fall of AI and all, like, or at least the generative AI. Large language model stuff we're seeing. So yeah, but yeah, watching him is like, and whenever I watch one of his videos, because he's a guest on a lot of different podcasts that are on YouTube, it's like you go through the comments and it's just like this catharsis of people just being like, oh God, Ed Citron. I love listening to Ed Citron. I just like feel so much better hearing Ed Citron. So yeah, for people listening out there, if you've had it with AI, go onto YouTube, look up Ed Citron. It's a Zitron. So almost like the German word for orange. Just go and look him up. He'll make you feel better.
I'm going to do it. I'm doing it tomorrow.
Yes. Yeah. So with my job, we have AI time every week. And so I split some of it between looking at like use cases and then watching those videos so you have a more holistic idea of what AI is about. But essentially, it's just a bunch of companies giving each other $100 billion here and there to like pay for their own stuff. And, data centers that are probably not going to be able to pump out the capacity that they're supposed to, with chips in them that are going to be bad by the time the data centers are built. So yeah, it's pretty soon the whole thing is probably going to, now there'll be some kinds of AI, but like this whole like ChatGPT Anthropic thing, it's it's going to go the way of WeWork probably more likely than it's going to be Netflix versus Blockbuster.
Right. If I ever had my own corporation, I'd have designated EI time, where everybody would listen to Nelly.
Yeah, I was trying to think.
That'd be my thing.
Yeah, designated GI time, where you watch old GI Joe cartoons.
Oh, I would do that too. Yeah. And people would be knocking down the door to work for my corporation. I don't know what the hell we'd be doing there.
Yeah.
Hopefully making some sort of money, or that would probably prevent people from wanting to work there, but you never know.
Right. Yeah. Well, it could. Yeah. It's like it could be like the cool version of like the hipster offices in Silicon Valley, right? With like the ping pong tables and stuff. Instead, it would be TV screens where you could watch GI Joe and stuff like that.
I don't know that I've ever been the cool version of anything, but you know what? There's a first time for everything as well.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of the cool version of anything, so usually, but one of my old traditions was, first time a guest was on, we would talk a Dolph movie, but I'd kind of gotten away from that tradition. And when I was having you on for the first time, it was like, what would be the perfect movie to talk with Chris about? And of course, American Ninja 2 came up. I was like, boy, I hadn't covered that one on the podcast before. And it was the perfect one. We had tons of great stuff to discuss there. But we've kind of hit just about everything else. I think we've done a Sedaris movie. We've done a PM movie with the sweeper. We've done, I was trying to think, we've done an Isaac Florentine, Gary Daniels movie. We've done a Cynthia Rothrock movie. We've kind of hit.
Did AIP with Invasion Force.
Right. Yeah. AIP movie. I mean, we've even done a Frank Zagarino movie.
What a film.
Right. Exactly. So it was like kind of time to get Dolph in here. And I was like, okay, I think something had come up about Detention a little bit before when we were chatting online, and you mentioned the caffeine shirt, and it was kind of stuck in my head. And I was like, all right, for the Dolph movie, let's do Detention. Now, the other unique thing about this, I think the only other time that myself and the guest, I think the only time myself and the guest each watched a DVD of the movie instead of one or both of us watching it on streaming, was when I had Tom Joliffe on to talk about Army of One, the Dolph Lundgren movie, because he had just bought a new 4K or a new Blu-ray version of it in England, and I had my old DVD that I watched of it. So this is, I guess, it happens to be Dolph movies that because you have this really great, what is it, 8 movie box set, or not box set, but a DVD set.
An action collection. Yeah, and I was like, oh, because I know you normally watch on the streamer. Just from listening, you're like, oh yeah, this was on Tubi, or this was on this, or this. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna show him. I'm gonna show him, everybody. And I got my 8 action movie collection, and I sent a picture to him. And then this bastard comes back with a standalone copy And then today I find out it had special features on it. Man, you showed me. You showed me, sir.
Yeah, it was. I found out I didn't know this myself, so I bought this. I in the mid, I guess, to late 2000s. I was like just buying up all the Dolph I could get. So it was like anytime I'd go to a used like record store or whatever, and they had the DVD section, if there was a Dolph movie that I didn't have, I grabbed it. And so this was there. I had never opened it before because I don't remember. I watched this on USA when I first watched it, and I think maybe when I don't even know if I actually watched it for the review because this was one of my early reviews. And with the early reviews, I was just talking about the movies without having, like in some cases, like I think I ended up redoing American Ninja 2 because I was like, it had been so long since I'd seen it. I'd seen it like in the early 90s. And I did a review based on what I saw in the early 90s in like 2007. And I was like, I probably should just watch that one again. So a lot of them were like that. I want to say this was like that. So I don't think I had opened my Detention DVD. And so when I opened it, I saw the Blockbuster logo inside. So this was one that, yeah, when it would have probably been when Blockbuster still existed. But it was like kind of on those waning days. But also a movie like this is one that probably Blockbuster would have bought a few copies from the New Image guys. And then once
then realized they didn't need all those copies.
Yeah, and they get the. That was, I mean, I didn't really collect Seagal movies, but that was a good way to collect Seagal movies. Was that you could get tons of those that way.
Right, and then and there that would make sense too because there were Dolph and Seagal had some name value. So somebody be like, oh, he's got like maybe I just missed this being in the theater. No, it never was in the theater, but you can still watch it.
Yes. Yeah. How many times? I don't know, like how many, either whether it was like, a Blockbuster where you'd be like just kind of walking around the store and some, I don't want to say like random people were always talking to me at Blockbuster, but there's these people that would do that, that like, it's like almost like they can't sit there. They can't look at the racks without talking to you. There's like like, do you know that kind of person who's just like, and they'd be like, Seagal. Yeah. I didn't even know about this one. It's, it's like, yeah. No, it looks good. You should check it out. Instead of being like, well, this is actually a direct to video movie. And it wasn't, it's like, I'm not going to get into that with him, but yeah, but it's like, I remember something like that where there was like a small video store in Bangor near where my friends lived, Bangor, Maine, and we were I was in there with them. We were trying to get a movie for that night as I was staying with them, and there was a guy who was like hitting on the woman behind the counter about these Seagal movies. He was like, "Yeah, these movies, they just always seem to be good," and I'm just like, wow. Yeah, right. Yeah, what was it? Submerged, right? Submerged. I don't know how great that one is, but hey, and the woman behind the counter is just like, yeah, that's fine. Are you going to rent it or not? Like what are we doing here?
You had to bring up Submerged, didn't you? Right. Let me tell you something. I'm on the Letterboxd, right. And I used to do nothing with it, but I had kind of an unofficial list of movies that when my friend Matt would come over, we would watch these movies, and I was kind of keeping a list. And I'm like, you know what? I should transfer this nonsensical list over to the Letterboxd. I found out 2019 was not a great year for me, and I realized how checked out because Submerged was on that freaking list. Right. And I was like, I had no recollection of it. That one, Nom Angel. I'm like, what are these? I remember Matt, he's like, oh, you've seen Nom Angels before we watched it. I'm like, dude, I've never in my life seen Nom. If you took me to court and had me I would have said, I have never seen, but there it was on my list. Why would I have put it on the list if I... So yeah, Submerged was on there too, because I just recently used Submerged for was it when I did the World's Most Dangerous Kitchens?
Oh, right, yes.
And I'm like, I watched that scene, and I'm like, I described the scene as I do in those posts, and I'm like, nothing rang a bell. Not like, oh yeah, I've seen this. No, right. I'm like, did I just black out for? I wish I could say it was like, I had a crazy time that year, and I was like, hitting some of that smack that they're trying to smuggle in this movie that we're about to talk about. But no, it was none of that. It was just, just mental health is important, folks, is what I'm trying to say. Because you just kind of like go through, just going through the motions, and yeah.
Yeah.
Submerged and Numb Angels were like, I'm like, I don't know what these movies are. I mean, I know what they are, but I don't remember watching them.
Yeah.
I'll have to rewatch them, I guess. But
so Submerged, I did know I watched. Numb Angels sounds familiar. That could be one that I.
It's a Cirio Santiago.
Right. Exactly.
And that's when we were preparing for last year's Cirio Santiago. That's when he's like, "Oh, you've seen that one," and I'm like, "No, I haven't."
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Get out of here. Get out of here with your lies.
Now, do you do what I'm doing here? You go to the critic reviews. So I looked at the critic reviews. I see Matt Spector reviewed it. I see the guys at Come Up It's reviewed it, and I see that I didn't review it. But do you ever do that? Do you go to the critic reviews and see like, okay, well, if I reviewed it, then I know I saw it.
Yes.
Like,
oh yeah, when I was doing my list of like every movie I reviewed for Bulletproof Action, there were quite a few that oh yeah, but like if you ask me,
right.
tell me 5 things about this movie or you're dead, just buy my coffin because I don't remember.
Right, exactly.
But I mean, we've been doing this for a long time, and there's like thousands of movies on that list. So I mean, that wasn't as bad as like 2019. I have
right. That's not it. I agree with you there. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. Now, you talked about world's most dangerous kitchens, and interesting about the movie we're going to be talking about here, because I think what makes the movie we're going to be talking about here, Detention, one of the world's most dangerous kitchens, is not the Hungarian terrorists hosing the place down with machine gun fire, but the fact that the kitchen crew leaves the food out over the weekend.
Yeah.
Did you notice that?
There was lettuce.
Yes.
Just left out. That, number one, that's wasteful. Number two, I would imagine you are encouraging a rodent problem.
Yes. Yeah. Just because you lock the place down doesn't mean that rodents don't get in during the day.
Right.
Yeah. So, yes. No. With again, if you don't know, we're talking about Detention here. Dolph Lundgren. I don't know if we say classic, but it's Die Hard in a school. It's the New Image guys, which we have done a New Image movie before, one that was definitely a higher level of quality. Isaac Florentine's Cold Harvest. I do think, I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but I almost feel like Isaac Florentine was like kind of the perfect match for the New Image guys, because he got how to like make these movies on a budget, but like, I don't know, like go bonkers in a way with them, like do this kind of goofy, crazy stuff with them. Whereas Sidney J. Fury is, I did Superman 4. I'm going to come in here and make a real movie. And you're kind of like, I don't know how serious you can make a movie when the guy's got a shirt on that says caffeine and it's, the baddie is a slim version of Adam Richman from Man vs. Food.
Isaac Florentine was to New Image what Sam Furstenberg was to Canon. It feels like he was just the right guy for these movies. And I'll be honest, again, with horrible memory, I forgot Detention was a New Image movie. When I popped in that thing and that beautiful New Image logo popped up, I saluted the screen, as I often do for my logos that I love. And I was like, wow, here we go. Come on now. And Sidney J. Fury, yes, Superman 4, but he also directed one of my all-time favorites, Iron Eagle.
Oh, right. Yes. Good point. Yes. Yeah.
And he did, I don't know what, I think he at some point was replaced, but an underrated one, an unsung one, The Taking of Beverly Hills.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah. That's a great, yes, that's a good point. Yeah. I mean, he's done, I think that's the thing, the difference between him and Florentine was like Florentine came up making, doing Power Rangers, like doing second unit direction on Power Rangers stuff. And it was like, if you give me my chance, I'll go for it. And I almost feel like Sidney J. Fury was like, doing Detention with Dolph was like a notch down from other stuff that he'd done. But he wasn't going to play like there's no way that Sidney J. Fury was going to give you the last half hour of special forces that you get with like the craziness with that great fight scene with Adkins and that that other guy, and however it is that Marshall Teague killed with the missile when he blows up the guy and all that stuff. Like I mean, Sidney J. Fury, the most you're going to get is a car driving through a school hallway. That's probably your best bet with Sidney J. Fury, I guess.
Well, and he also had the car driving through the casino in Top of the World.
Oh, that's right. That's right. He was. That's right. That was Spiro Rosados as well.
Well, yeah,
That's right.
exactly. When you got Spiro,
Yes.
I wouldn't doubt Spiro Rosales was involved with Taking in Beverly Hills. You know what else he directed? Ladybugs.
That's right. That's right. Yes. Did he also do the kind of late Rodney Dangerfield one, like what, My Five Wives or something like that? I think he did that one too.
Oh, yes, he did. My Five Wives.
Yes.
And the Casper Van Dien TV movie Road Rage.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So yeah. CJ Fury, he's an interesting one because, like you said, he's not like you wouldn't. He might have a better pedigree on some things than say like a Sam Furstenberg or Isaac Florentino. We were talking about Jesse V. Johnson earlier. Like, and I would say like Furstenberg is probably like another level even above Jesse V. Johnson and Isaac Florentine because he's just he's Sam Furstenberg. And I mean, we've covered a Furstenberg. That's another category that we can check off the list here, right? Because we did American Samurai, but
and American Ninja 2.
that's right, American Ninja 2. That's right. We've done a couple of Furstenbergs. Yeah. So yeah, it's but to your point, like Furstenberg's canon stuff compared to it would have been interesting to see if they had given Furstenberg Superman 4, like what that would have ended up like.
Yeah. Shmulek, he has magic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think Isaac Florentine probably, he's probably like maybe the best, low budget director that we've got in that mold, in that Furstenberg mold. I think he's, but even he's not quite. I mean, the kind of the level of stuff that, but yeah, I guess again.
I think the thing with Florentine is obviously he's more martial art. He's like he was second unit, so he's martial arts oriented. Where Sam kind of just jumped into that world and just ended up doing quite well. With Revenge of the Ninja, he had never done any kind of action movie prior to that. Then they gave him Breakin' 2, right. Electric Boogaloo, which is a wonderful film that I watched recently and rewatched. I've seen it. That was the one canon movie I've seen in the theater back in the day, folks.
Oh, nice.
Breakin' 2, Electric Boogaloo. I don't know how I do know how I miss Superman. I love Superman, but I don't know. I think 3 kind of soured me even as a kid. And I remember looking, and I think you talked about this on one of your shows. I remember being at the magazine, like stand and just looking, and there was like Superman 4 collector's magazine, and I was leafing through it. I'm like, what is this? And I'm like, plus that's the heart of the video store era. So it's like, you would just be like, I'll rent it. And I did. But yeah, I kind of wish I would have seen that. I definitely wish I would have seen Masters of the Universe in theaters, but it's probably too cool at that time too.
That was that was the one that I saw.
I'm 13 now. I don't need this.
Right.
I'm not watching those kids movies at the theater.
Right. Well, because I think for me, I saw that. I guess I don't know how old I guess I would have been 8 or 9. I guess when that one came out, but I saw that in the theater, and I was like, I'm too old for this movie. If that's like,
here you go.
Yeah. So it definitely. And the funny thing is, like 2 years later, Batman comes out, and it's like, I went to that as a 10-year-old thinking I was going to get like the old Adam West stuff that I used to watch with my dad on Sunday mornings, and I'm just sitting there like, oh man, this is
total game changer.
Right? Yeah, I was like, I can't. At my age, like later on, when I was a little bit older for Batman Returns, I could appreciate all of it more. But at the time, I was freaked out. I was like, I can't do this. Yeah. So, yeah. Now, Dolph, I guess. Speaking of Masters of the Universe,
right?
Yes. Now, so the making of featurette that came with this, it was called AFTA, AFTA apostrophe School SKOO Special. Now, special is spelled correctly. I don't know why. And to be fair, I think spelling school SKOOL actually makes more sense than the way we spell it normally. So I would be in favor of people respelling it SKOOL. That makes sense.
Right, because it should be shul.
Right, exactly. So the fact that we call it school means we should just make it a K. And then after with the apostrophe, that's just a Boston accent or a Mass accent. Are you going after school for something? What are you doing after school today? That's really what that was. But yeah, the making of special, it wasn't really much. It was just something I think it was like packaged with the movie, and I guess it's the kind of thing that like if you rent it from Blockbuster or you buy the DVD, you've got it, or like what was it, the TV Guide channel would do those little like making out. They would
Yeah.
show clips of these making out feature ups, and it'd just be like the kids being interviewed saying, "Oh, Dolph was great to work with," and then a few producers extolling the virtues of Sidney J. Fury, and then behind the scenes of things crashing. But one of the things Dolph said in that movie, this was made in like 03, 04, or at least it came out then. He's like, "Yeah, I've been in 25 of these action movies before, so I really know what I'm doing." And I was like, really? Had he been in 25 by that point? And I counted, and it depends, what you count, like Rocky, or if you count Johnny Mnemonic or those. But he's kind of right. It's like it was over 20 at least. It was like 21, 22. And obviously, I wouldn't argue with him if he told me it was 25, and it wasn't exactly. But it's hard to imagine, like, by that time, he had just made so many of those. He was already at a point in the early 2000s of being like, "Yeah, I've done 25 of these movies already."
That's an excellent Dolph. And I felt like I was on a podcast with Dolph Lundgren, and that would be just a dream come true. But yeah, I mean, Dolph was, a busy man, and I guess he kind of had to be, because I'm sure he was not commanding the type of money that Arnold and Stallone was. So it's like, well, I don't get as much, so I have to work a little bit more.
Yeah, and I guess too, it was like, now one of the interesting things about your copy of this is that it's packaged. One of the movies packaged with it is The Punisher, which I've never seen packaged in those group sets before. But that was a movie that I think was one of the ones, whether it's Master of the Universe or Punisher, that were supposed to break Dolph. They were supposed to. I don't break. I'm using. I'm using break in a different way from what it's meant to be in Rocky IV, but it's supposed to like break him into the mainstream. I mean.
Right. Yeah. Use your industry knowledge and terms, please. I know you like to.
Yes.
And
talking about the gate at the movie theater.
The gate and
the
plate and
the box office. Yeah.
You got it. You got the lingo down. I mean, you are a professional podcaster of the cinematic universe. But yeah, this one, and it could have been the Punisher that was the main, like, was that what I was looking for? Like, I wonder if there's the Punisher on DVD. Right. And it's like, oh, here it is. And it's got another 2 other Dolph movies, and right. Extreme Justice and the base movies, which are now going to be out on Blu-ray. So yeah, and then it had this other one. What the heck is this one called? I don't know. And yeah, so it had these movies, and this was a good buy. Pretty sure that was an Amazon one, and I had a similar horror one that I found at the Kmart. My God, I almost screamed in the Kmart because it had Chopping Mall on it, which I had not seen since the 80s. I was like, oh my, Chopping Mall, Class of 19, all the, I'm like, oh my God, I remember that one. I was in Kmart heaven.
Yes. Yeah,
I almost shit my pants at Kmart. Oh wait, no, it was Ship Your Pants.
Ship Your Pants. That's right.
I almost shit my pants at Kmart when I saw all those great movies.
Yeah, it's like this movie where it came out in the early 2000s, that era of the DVD age where it was like DVD players were becoming more mainstream, like more people were getting them, right. They were replacing VHSs. But then also there was like these cheap DVD bins or DVD collections that were just, I mean, my copy of Showdown in Little Tokyo was a $5 get at Walmart in the bin. And I still have that copy with the folding gate with the snap-on thing.
Gate, there you go again.
Gate, yeah, the different gate, right? Because I have to call it the gate fold, so it's not confusing people with the gate at the box office. It's the gate fold cover. But yeah, it was like, a movie like Detention. I think the New Image guys kind of come out of the Canon era because they with yes. learning under them, they seem to have been the ones who transitioned the best when the thing went from the 90s. Where it was just like, hey, let's pump out all the erotic thrillers, all the action movies, the PM guys, all those ones. They transitioned best from that era into the blockbuster and new DVD era. And I think they're one of the best that are right now. I mean, they were the guys that did Olympus Has Fallen. They've got movies that they make like Subservience that they ship directly to Netflix. I think they've done the best job of transitioning to these different eras of the movie industry.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely seem to learn from the mistakes of Canon and maybe even some from PM. And they became Millennium, and yeah, like you said, they brought Rambo back. They created the Expendables. It's like, they figured it out, and they, to your point as well, have been able to navigate the ever changing world of entertainment and movies.
Yeah, and I will say Dolph was probably one that I don't know what we say because Dolph at this time, like 0304, he was kind of like, I don't want to say king, but he was, your most bankable name. But then, Seagal and Van Damme moved down right around this time. I think, what was
Yep.
Exit Wounds, 02, I think, or was that the other one? Half Past Dead was 02, I can't remember. But like, pretty soon after this, Dolph and Seagal and Van Damme were the ones making these movies, and Dolph wasn't getting I mean, I don't want to say he was getting the detentions. Could Seagal have done detention? I guess he would have been a former CIA agent who's teaching at a school.
Please,
Yeah,
no.
right. I don't know, but this is kind of like this period just before. I think Dolph gets worse stuff kind of later, and then he starts directing his own things, around this time as well. But I mean, Detention is one that I could tell from the making of featurette that he wanted to do right by the Millennium guys or the New Image guys. I think he wanted to do right by Sidney J. Fury, but he also knew that he was in a Die Hard movie in a high school with a bunch of kids running around with paper cutters attacking Hungarian terrorists.
Yeah, it's a movie. It's a movie, folks. I enjoy it though, and I enjoyed the rewatch.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll get stuck in on it. I mean, I guess and I guess with these Die Hard movies, I think we kind of found also we're talking about Project Shadow Chaser, another Die Hard in a movie. It's sometimes it's easier to kind of talk about maybe like the beginning and the end, as their own things, but then the middle is just kind of this hodgepodge of just scenes of fights that could happen or interactions with the baddies that could happen kind of in any kind of order, right? Like it's just sort of so maybe we'll kind of jumble it up, but I guess where we start with this movie is with the flashback to Dolph's character Sam Decker, his military career.
Right.
So I guess Chris, you're a movie executive, and somebody comes to you with the script for Detention, and you read through everything in it. Is the first thought that you have, I don't understand Dolph's motivation to want to protect these high school kids. I need something at the beginning to show me why he would want to protect these high school kids. Would that be the hole that you would find in the script?
No, because you would think if you are a teacher, you're there for your kids. So that should have been enough. But I guess maybe it wasn't so much that they wanted to know why he could take on these bad guys.
Right. Yeah.
So we needed to give him some military background. So it wasn't like, oh yeah, the gym teacher is a badass.
Right.
I mean, yeah, he could have been the football coach as well or something. But he obviously had some training, as we will see as we go. But yeah, I think that was more it. But it also, I guess, maybe even if he was like kind of checked out at that point, because he does have that point where it's like, we're not teaching here. We're just detaining these kids until they can go out in the world. And so maybe that helped because he seemed a bit disenfranchised with his chosen profession, and flashing back to where he did not say, his fellow soldier that was like, you can't save them all. And he didn't. And a young girl perished.
Yeah,
he obviously carried that with him all these years.
Yeah, the young girl, she's being held hostage in Bosnia, and a baddie takes her into a corrugated iron shack, and then the shack gets blown up, and
because there was an airstrike coming, and they had to get everybody out of there. But once that airstrike's moving, you don't call that off. So you just better all get out, or you're going to be part of that casualties as well. So.
Exactly. Now that his friend in the military actually becomes a police officer in his same hometown, which works out conveniently. That works for him. But with the school here, I guess this is it's interesting because it is after 9/11, but it's also still kind of in that post Columbine world where teenagers were the scariest things on the planet. So I guess terrorists were now scarier than teenagers, but still, adults were afraid of teenagers a lot. And this movie's got that. You've got the security guard who's handing out detentions. They lock the place down with a high security lockdown over the weekends because nothing happens in the school over the weekend, which I didn't know. Don't they usually do things during the weekend.
The swim meets
Right.
and yeah, basketball games, but depending on what time of year it is, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Or even just, continuing education, you get
Right,
some,
right.
you
The
know,
bake sale might be there.
right. Right. Yeah. You just, maybe a writer's
A
group is hanging out the library.
craft fair.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's all kinds of things that could happen, but who knows in the mean streets of Hamilton, Ontario,
Right,
Canada.
exactly. Yeah, well, and of course, Hamilton's got a chip on its shoulder for not being Toronto, and not even really being Buffalo, right? Like they're kind of sandwiched in between Buffalo and Toronto, and that's a tough place to be if you're Hamilton. And so, yeah, the kids grow up with a real chip on their shoulder, and they take it out on their teachers. Now, we meet a few kids here, and I'm not going to know all their names, but I can give you kind of basically what they are. We've got the one punk. I actually do remember his name. It's Mick, just because I can't
Oh,
imagine any parent would have named their son Mick. My brother and sister would have been in high school at the same time as these characters. I don't remember them ever bringing home a friend named Mick.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
Mick Ashton.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, can I talk about him?
Yes, Mr. Caffeine shirt.
When he put on that sleeveless, bright orange caffeine shirt and went to school, he thought he was hot shit. 100%. This man, he had the like camo pants on. They were like cuffed or rolled, and one was up. He's like LL Cool J in it. Uh, yeah, he was a real piece of work, and being the learned scholar and intrepid researcher that you are, you found out that this man, uh, probably a Canadian actor, is doing all sorts of those like Hallmark type movies
Yes, yes,
that are likely shot in Vancouver. Uh, so good for you, Corey Sevier. Sevier.
Yeah, Sevier, yeah. And
Sevier, yeah.
I believe he might also be the closest to a high school student in this movie because he's born in 1984, so he's only like 20. He also
Right.
reconnects with Sidney J. Fury for Conduct Unbecoming in 2011.
Well, I'm
So
going to review that. Is that an action movie?
I don't know.
I
It's got
mean,
Michael Ironside, but Sevier is the lead actor in it. So Sevier must have seen something in his caffeine-shirted performance in this film that he really liked and said, "I want this guy to be the lead in my
he
movie."
may have been like, this could be my next Jason Gedrick.
Right, right. Yes, exactly. Yes, but yeah, he does about 10 movies a year. It looks like, or maybe no. So maybe it's not that many. I'm just breezing through the 2020s. It's like 4 movies a year, 4 or 5 movies a year. But yeah, one year it'll be all Christmas movies. It looks like another year it's all like kind of Hallmark romance ones. With Rodeo Christmas Romance. That's
Oh,
the kind of
that's
thing you're
great.
talking about there.
My mom's probably seen that, and I should ask her about it
Right? See what she
when I
thinks.
see her next. See if
Right.
what did she think of Caffeine's performance in that?
Right. Now,
Looks like Conduct Unbecoming is a drama.
yes, yeah, yeah. So that probably was his big break, and just never quite worked out for him after that, I guess. But
I still may watch it. You know how you can tell if I watched it, folks? Check my letterbox. Thank you.
yes, exactly. Oh, we got to log it in there. I mean, yeah, so Caffeine shirt. He walks into school, and then there's a young man in a wheelchair who double chip on the shoulder, right? Because he's
Yeah.
he's dealing with a disability. He's in a motorized wheelchair, and he lives in Hamilton, Ontario. So he's got the double chip, and he's like cruising through the school, running people over. He hits a young woman who's pregnant, who's going to play a part in the film later as well. She's going to be one of our kids, but. Caffeine gets into an argument. Oh no. Oh, that's right. No, Caffeine doesn't get into the fight with him. It's Hoagie who gets into the fight with
Hoagie.
him.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, Hogarth or some, but he's Hoagie for short, which I don't know if the people making this movie, I don't know if they're aware that Hoagie is the term for sandwich here in Philadelphia. So
Right.
yeah. They spell it with an A, so it's Hoagie, whereas Hoagie was just
Correct.
Hogie. But yeah, when every time they'd say his name, I would think of a long roll with cured pork meats on it with lettuce
Hmm.
and oil. That's
Sounds great.
yeah. Oh yeah, they make them nice here in Philadelphia. Everybody talks about the cheesesteak in Philadelphia, but the Italian hoagie is probably I would go a level to say you get a good Italian hoagie, it's better than the cheesesteak.
Oh, you've heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
I like that Willie, the young man in the wheelchair.
Yes, that was his name. Okay, yeah, Willie. Yeah,
I like that. You know, they didn't treat him like, oh, he was kind of a jerk.
right. Exactly. Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, he wasn't like, oh, he's the outcast. No, he was kind of an asshole, and not the usual like, oh, we should feel sorry for this guy. You almost like, I hate you. You almost feel bad because he obviously he's had a rough life, certainly rougher than many, and but you are like, I don't care that he's had a rough life. He's an ass. So to
yeah,
hell with to
yeah.
hell with Willie.
Exactly. There's no need to run people over. So,
Right.
yes, and then yeah, Alicia is the one who she's pregnant.
She's yes.
Yeah.
And she's pregnant with JT's child.
Yeah, so and that's JT. The way it was spelled, at least on the subtitles on mine, was JAY space TEE. So it wasn't the two letters JT. It was
Yeah.
JT.
Right. Yeah. That's how they have him listed in on IMDb. So I would assume that's how it was listed in the credits. So
Yeah,
there you go.
JT. Yeah, so that's our cast of characters, and among this cast of characters, in comes Mr. Dolph Lundgren on a motorcycle, because
Yeah.
that's the kind of teacher he is. He's what was that show? I think we both were probably a little old for the show. Boy Meets World. But
Yeah.
I think there was a teacher on that show who like rode a motorcycle and did kickboxing, and I think he like adopted one of the kids or something. My younger siblings, the ones who would have been in high school at this time, they watched that show, and I want to say I remember a teacher that may have been like that guy was had that kind of the mullet. He was probably more of like a Thomas Ian Griffith type than he was a Dolph type, but I wonder if they kind of got some idea from that character. Only that that character was a kickboxer, not a former military guy. But yeah, he comes in on his motorcycle. He's making a big entrance.
Well, now that you've told me this, I would have wanted the dream match of whoever this kickboxing teacher is from Boy Meets World to take on Sasha Mitchell from Step by Step in a TGIF kickboxing tournament.
Oh yes, yeah, it was that was one of those ones where it was like I remember him being on that Step by Step show, and then seeing Kickboxer 2 and just being like, wait a second, that guy was cool all this time. Like
Yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah, I feel like if Step by Step was like, was that the 9:30? Was that the final of the? Because I feel like I would catch some of that, but because at that point I was working,
right,
and
yeah,
usually I'd get stuck working Friday nights. So if I went right home, and you just pop the TV on, and it's like, what's on? And it's like, what is this show? And like, yeah, that whole TGIF era, like, at that point I was pretty much like some of them you knew because they were carryovers from prior to like
yeah.
Perfect Strangers.
Perfect Stranger, I was gonna say,
Like,
yeah.
but yeah, a lot of that stuff that was pure like Family Man. I never watched Urkel.
Yeah.
But
Yes, yeah. Yeah. I remember, I think the one episode of that one I remember of Family Matters was when Bobby Brown was big at that time. And they're watching every little step, and all the women were saying how hot he was. And Urkel's like, well, I can dance like that. And they were like essentially like dancing him out the door. It was like this uproarious laughter, and I was just like, "Yeah, I don't know why I'm watching this. This is, yeah, I don't know what happened here." But so
I do remember watching the Boy Meets World where Vader was on it, and they went to like the actual like WWE show in Anaheim. I think
nice.
So. It's like, but I think I knew like that was coming, so I was like made a point to watch that it was going to be on.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because I think the girlfriend on the show, her name was Topanga, which is like
Yes,
the
and
area.
she's
in
a
LA.
huge wrestling fan.
Oh, is she? Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, when they're in LA, yeah, there she is in the audience.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, yeah. It is funny with like TV shows how like with an eight, like a matter of years can change with the ages, but then like with older TV shows because they're always in reruns, like it's like with new TV shows, it depends on your age and like what you experience at that time. But then with like old TV shows, because everybody watched them, like the Brady Bunch, I think is the big one. That's like kind of like the great equalizer, where it's like if you were born in like the 50s, like late 50s into early 60s, or probably I get probably more like late 50s, you were like, oh, the Brady Bunch is corny, I'm not going to watch it. And then it was like every generation after it's just like, no, this show's hilarious. Like, it's like every generation after got a kick out of watching it. And it's weird how old shows get kind of spread out amongst the generations, but new shows, it's like it depends on where you were at that age.
Yeah, and again, we've talked about it because when you had less channel options and there was no on demand, you had to watch what was there.
Yeah.
So if it was the Brady Bunch, it was the Brady Bunch,
right? Yes,
because you had like 3 other channels to turn to, and let me tell you something. The Brady Bunch very well could have been the best thing going right then and there.
Well, because think about what you'd have when you got home from school, for example. Depending on how old you were, it was either cartoons or soap operas. Because they didn't even really have talk shows like that. It was Donahue was like really the only talk show, and then Oprah came a little bit after that. But Donahue would be your only talk show. So it was like soap operas, cartoons, or the Brady Bunch on one of those channels. And so, that a lot of, like you said, a lot of times that was your best bet if you were going to watch something.
Can we talk about Cousin Oliver on the Brady Bunch?
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Played by Robbie Rist, who was in Iron Eagle, directed by Sidney J. Furie.
So we got a connection. We got a Brady connection here between.
He played Milo on Iron Eagle. He was the nerd who got all the information about what was going on with Doug's dad, and they came up with a plan, baby.
Yeah. Good old Cousin Oliver. It's he was, when there was that sort of that Brady revival in the 90s. I think he really rode that well. People love the idea of Cousin Oliver.
And Cousin Oliver kind of became like a thing.
Yeah.
Like when shows would add some random new character that had never been there before, like a cousin or somebody, they became the Cousin Oliver of the show.
Right. Yeah, you had there's the Cousin Oliver, and then the reverse is the brother on Happy Days, right? Was
right.
Because
Kevin O'Hurley.
Right. Yes, who just disappeared after the first season,
and then turned to a life of crime. Right. And ran a gang in New York, right. And was killed by a rocket launcher.
Yeah, right.
And Paul Kersey.
Right, by Paul, exactly. Yeah. So it's but I guess Dolph. I don't know. If Dolph had, I think Dolph would have taken it if somebody had come to Dolph and said, hey, we've got an open slot for, or we're looking to pitch something to ABC for their TGI Friday lineup. Here's the idea: you're a former military guy who's a teacher. You ride into school in a motorcycle. Some of the girls that are in your classes have the hots for you, but you're going to teach about the Vietnam War and stuff like that, and just be a really cool guy. Well, do I get to have a hot wife? Well, hot fiance. How does that sound? Yeah, I'm in, and it's like, that's it. Dolph, and we would have had a Dolph sitcom on TGI Friday, but
he would have been, but then they realized Major Dad was already a thing.
Right, that's right, Major Dad. That's right. Yes. Yeah, good old Gerald McRaney. He must still be doing TV movies and stuff, right? I mean, if he's still with us,
he probably pops up on those Hallmark movies as the grandfather at this time.
Yeah. Yes, God. Yeah, that was quite a night of programming as well. What was that? Was that like Designing Women, Major Dad, or
listen?
Major Dad ended up on USA, right? Is that what happened with that one?
I believe it did.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I never watched it.
No, me neither. Yeah.
CBS was something that I steered clear of back in the day, but now. You give me some Boston Blue and I'm there, baby. You give me Chad Michael Collins on Marshalls.
Yeah.
9.5 million. CMC, you are the reason there was 9.5 million people watching that show, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, I'm like, what am I? I've officially become old if CBS has programming that interests me.
Right, exactly.
I mean, I love Blue Bloods. I would always be like, when I would watch that, I'm like, oh, I should probably go get some sort of blanket because I'm catching a draft over here. And
exactly. Yeah. I mean, I will say for me, I got the Skechers that don't tie.
Oh yeah, I got them.
Yeah, and it is like one of those things where like when you do it, at first it's like, oh, I don't have to bend down and tie my shoes anymore. But then it's like, you've crossed a line where it's just like,
Yeah.
I'm never tying my shoes again. Apparently, I'm done with that. I've given up on tying my
Yeah.
shoes.
I mean, I had I had them, and then I'm like, oh, let me, time to replace them. So I'm like, oh, these look similar to the ones I had. They were ones that you had to tie. I'm like, what the hell did I just buy? But then when I had to replace those, I was back to just slip them right in.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It just makes life so much easier. And but it's like a threshold that you pass. I know like with jeans for me, where I was just like, I cared more about comfort than what they looked like. And once I realized that, once I, sometimes it's not an obvious one, but sometimes it is. Sometimes it's like, oh yeah, I just bought these jeans for their utilitarian function than, how they looked. Like, I'm not concerned with how they look when I go out in public. I just want them to be able to cover the lower half of my torso in a functional way, a way that's comfortable. Yeah, once you make that, once at least for once that happens, and I will say, I guess maybe as a to get us back on track, Dolph was like 46, 47 when he made this, and he was not wearing functional jeans in this, I guess, except for some of the action scenes. But yeah, he also bent over to get things a lot. He was also running a lot. He was a lot more active than I think I would be.
He was quite spry. Yeah, no, he was. Yeah, I mean, obviously, we should not compare ourselves to Dolph Lundgren.
Right.
He's a physical marvel. He had his own workout tape, which you can see the review of or read the review of over on the Direct-to-Video Connoisseur website.
Yeah.
Again, I will always be I know there's some post on Bulletproof Action where I said no other site has reviewed more Dolph Lundgren movies than us, and boy, was that a damn lie.
Well, and Maximum Potential, once I tracked down a copy of that, I was like, well, I got to review it. And then when I was moving my my reviews I was creating the letterbox list for all of my reviews, and it wasn't there. I was like, huh. So it's technically not a movie. And I just reviewed
it. No, it is not.
Right.
No, you rule breaker.
Right, exactly. So yes, I thought about adding it on a letterbox, but I don't want to get in trouble with the letterbox people. So I'll just
yeah, they'll ban you, and then that's the end of you.
Yeah, you can't afford that. So they already I have ad blocker on my Mozilla Firefox, and when I log into Letterboxd, I get these pop-ups that say, don't you want to turn the ads on to support us? And then it's like, or do you want to continue without supporting us? And it's like, well, if your ads weren't like so ridiculous, I mean, it's like they just like with these banner ads and these borders, and I can't even scroll on there. It's like,
I know, I broke down and just went pro.
I'm going to have to go pro. Yeah.
I can't do it. I mean, it was like $19 for the year.
Like, yeah, I think I've got to do it too, because I think it's probably just bad. It's like, people like talk about the fact that I haven't seen the Taken movies, or I finally saw Olympus Has Fallen. I'm like finally catching up on some of these, but there's a lot of things that I haven't seen or haven't done. It's kind of like, yeah, Matt, you also aren't a pro on you've got a movie review site, and you're not a pro on Letterboxd. It is kind of
now I did not do it I did it for my personal one. The Bulletproof Action one is still Ad City, but I'm like, I'm not buying two of these stupid
right.
things.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, you don't want to buy two. That makes sense. No. Now, we get our first great Dolph one-liner coming up here, as there's a guy who is selling drugs near the school. Yeah. And I don't know if at that time I would think by then, because of the whole DARE thing, they would have established the perimeter around the school, the imaginary perimeter that you can't sell drugs around. And this kid would have been in there. But so he's selling drugs to JT, and Dolph shows up and he's like, hey, what's going on here? And the guy thinks he's going to be tough, and he pulls up his shirt to show that he's got a gun. And he's like, so what do you teach? You teach poetry? And he's like, no, I teach phys ed and history. Like, oh, yeah. And he's like, yeah, here's phys ed. Punches him right in the stomach, grabs the gun, pulls the gun on him, and says, and your history.
Oh, yeah. And his cop buddy is not too far away. So he goes over and gives him the gun.
Yeah.
And his cop buddy, Earl, played by Larry Day, Earl gives him a flask. I don't know why.
Well, it's Chekhov's flask,
Yeah,
Right. But
that's true.
yeah,
That I mean, yeah, you'll know why later, but it's like, okay, was this like a trade day? I don't know.
exactly. Because the cop says like, "Well, I can't have this in the car," which that
Uh,
seems a little bit odd to me too. Because it's like you're a police officer. What do you mean you can't? Who's going to get you in trouble for having a flask in the car? Like, how does that
yeah.
work? Another police officer? Because I don't think another police officer is going to be like, "Hey, you've got a flask of alcohol in your car. Sorry, buddy, I'm writing you up." Like, I don't think that's how that works.
And like the teacher should have that at the
Right,
school. I mean,
exactly right. Yes, it's better for him to have it. Right, right, that too. So, yeah,
hmm. But I will say, obviously progress was made in the drug situation because back in what was it, 89 when Lean on Me, or was that earlier? But
right.
whatever, like, they were just getting into the whole damn school.
Yes. Yeah.
Here, this guy had to be outside. He could not actually gain access into the school, but he was still obviously doing things he shouldn't be doing. So we're getting a little bit better. Hopefully now they're not even on the same street as the school. I don't know.
Yeah. No, yeah, you don't know how they do it now. Yeah. They're probably like heavily policed. I think the way it works is that the schools are heavily policed until the mass shooter with the AR-15 shows up, and then the cops hit the road. They're like, all right, we need backup. That's it. I think that's what, at least what happened in Uvalde. So, yeah, that's kind of how they get down. But again, if you got a Dolph in your school, then he's going to take care of business in there. So yeah, and so the Chekhov's flask that happened in when I was on you guys' podcast. Didn't that happen in Cyberjack, aka Virtual Assassin? Wasn't there a Chekhov's flask?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, because yeah, Duty was a bit of an alcoholic.
right, exactly. Those flasks just seem to be great protection when you're going to get shot. Didn't I was going to say Genesee? Did he have a Chekhov's flask in the
It
sequel?
may have been, yeah, it
Yeah,
may have been the product. Yeah, he may have had one as well.
yeah. These Chekhov's
We
flasks.
might need to make another letterbox list.
Right, Chekhov's flask. It's like, yeah, because it does. It's like it just, they're bulletproof. Well, they're kind of bulletproof. So they usually get a hole in them at some point. But
Right.
yeah, it's so. I guess he's got his Chekhov. But again, we'll park that Chekhov's flag. And yeah, essentially, when he goes inside, there's a couple things that happens. One, a group of kids get sentenced to detention by the security guard person. Dolph says to the young pregnant girl, "Hey, you didn't make up your test," which she's like, "I got other things to worry about." And at least he had a little self awareness to be like, "You're right. Yeah, you do have better things to worry about." But she gets detention because she had to go to the bathroom too much. Which just I don't know. I guess it's believable. Teachers will give detentions for anything, and you could see a teacher not being sympathetic to a student being pregnant in their class. But that was definitely that was an interesting one. But we found out that Dolph is getting detention too.
Yeah, the whoever was supposed to be watching the detention kids that day had a family emergency, and the principal, who just a bit earlier was Decker, Dolph's character, gave notice like, "Hey, I'm done here." So the principal's like, "Well, I need you to stay and take over the detention class."
Right.
And he's like, "You're making me stay after school?" And I would have been like, it's your freaking problem. I'm done here. You stay and watch these kids.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean,
But then we wouldn't have had a movie, would we, folks?
well, and I guess the question too is, would he have given a bad reference if Dolph had just told the kids, "Hey, guess what? You're gone. Go ahead, call it good. We're out of here." Um, right? Like he already had the job lineup. Would the guy have called the job and be like, "Hey, just to let you know, this guy you're hiring, he like let the kids out for detention early on Friday, so I think you should be rethinking hiring him." Like, yeah, I don't know why he wasn't just like, "All right, guys, you came in, you sat here, you made an appearance. Let's open the doors. Let's get out of here before this, Eurotrash baddie and his Hungarian terrorists show up." And like you said, we wouldn't have had a movie because I guess the Willie would have been there because he was studying. And
Right. He had some kind of deal with the security guard. Like, "Hey, man, I'm trying to get a scholarship, so I need to stay after at the library to study."
yes, exactly. Yeah. Now we get some interesting things here. So now we realize we're introduced to our Eurotrash baddie, played by Alex Karzis, I believe. Is that what it was?
Yeah,
Yeah.
looking like he could be the front man for Everclear.
Right.
Um, Played Chester Lamb,
Yes, which is a
and he
great movie.
enjoyed the music from Carmen,
Yes.
which that's like directly like from Die Hard. You know, they were going for that Beethoven. That's Beethoven Die Hard, right? And I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Yeah. No, I think you're right.
And yeah, so that was they were going for that. Like, okay, that's something we could easily license, um, and we're going to use it. And they used it. He was humming it and singing it, and they used it over and over again.
Now, we know he's an edgy Eurotrash baddie because not only does he have frosted tips, but he's
Yeah,
painting his fingernails.
painting them. Yeah, he's eccentric.
Yes. Now, his his right hand lady, played by Kata Dobo, who's actually Hungarian, so it helped that she was able to speak Hungarian to the other terrorists who are also Hungarian. But yeah, she's got a pink wig on. So I
Mhm.
think that's the idea. Is they're supposed to have been pulled straight from the rave to commit these crimes.
Or the opera, perhaps. I don't know. They were really enjoying it. But yeah, so there's that, and then they have their two goons, their brothers, Victor and Alec. And Alec was played by Miff, just Miff.
Yes. Right. Yeah, and so what's established here is that these guys are bumbling, and
Right.
I do think the same way that like we were joking about the plot hole of Dolph needing a reason to protect these kids. I almost feel like too, like I don't know if it was Sidney J. Fury or somebody felt like they had to have a reason for why these kids never get hit when people shoot at them because these are supposed to be high school kids. So when a high school kid does get killed in a movie, which it's different than a horror movie, right? That like, in a horror movie, you want to see all the high school kids get killed off, but in an action movie,
Well,
it feels
yeah, in
harsher.
the horror movies, they're fucking and they're drinking and they're smoking and they're being bad kids, and you get punished for that. You're not supposed to be doing that stuff. These kids, I mean, yeah, they're in detention, but come on,
Yeah.
because he was skateboarding in the hall like that. That's just kid stuff.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Now in the detention, so we've got so Dolph is there with Mick, JT, Hoagie, and was it Danielle? Is that her name or the
Alicia.
Right, Danielle's the actor's name, but yes, Alicia. And Alicia says, "Hey, being that I'm pregnant and all, I got to go to the bathroom again." So Dolph decides that this is something that I've never heard of before with a teacher. He leaves the detention room and he locks the door. He locks them
Yeah.
in, the other guys,
Yeah.
which didn't make any sense because if they escape, right, if they leave the detention, well, they have to go to school on Monday and the principal's just going to
give them another detention.
Right,
Right,
exactly.
probably two. Now you got to go 2 more days.
Exactly. So just let them go. But no, he locks the door. So Mick and JT get stir crazy. So they pull the old Bender routine from Breakfast Club. And they get up in the rafters. And I wonder, too, if this was something where they were like, well, we can't just have Dolph crawling around the rafters later in the movie. We need to establish that you can do that now. And so that's what happens.
But are they even in the rafters? Or they just pop the tile of the drop ceiling?
Right. Yes,
which if you would have laid, you would have just fallen right through that.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't make any. Yeah, it's like they get up there and it's like obviously that part. It's like you would fall right through that drop ceiling. Come on.
Exactly. So Dolph comes back with Alicia, and only Hoagie's there, and Hoagie points at the ceiling and says, "Yeah, they escaped." So he's like, "Okay." Now Dolph is like, "I just wanted to get out of here." He was going to come back and tell everybody it was time to go. And this might be the most high school thing that these kids do, is that instead of just sticking around, knowing that they're going to be done soon. And I guess when you're in high school, time goes by a lot more slowly.
Yes.
So that was part of it. But then the other part, of course, is that they see Dolph and they run away from him. And he's like trying to tell them, detention's over, guys, just go home. And they run away from him. Now, this is at the same time that that our terrorists are taking over the high school, thinking that there's only going to be a security guard to kill in there. And so as they're walking around, they see the kids in the cafeteria. And the baddie bumps into Dolph there. And this is where we get like our first major action moment here, where there's just a big shootout. And again, the cafeteria workers, they left I guess they must have left hastily or something, and they just didn't put anything away.
Awful.
Yeah.
Awful. You would be fired right then and there. I mean, you can't. That's all going to spoil. It's going to stink. What are you
Muffins?
doing to
Like,
yourselves?
what is a muffin going? And it's like they had muffins on like those 3-tiered rack things with no like plastic covering or anything over them. I mean,
Come on. Somebody should have taken that to like the homeless shelter or
yeah,
something. Just let that spoil there.
yeah.
Should be ashamed of yourselves.
Right, exactly. Now, after Dolph escapes, and the bad guy and him, they kind of have their thing. They sort of separated. We find out that Mick and JT had been hiding in the refrigerator, so they pull the old Cherry from Punky Brewster routine. Only they didn't pass out. They were cold, but they were okay.
Right. Yeah, I guess they're almost like walk-ins a bit.
Mhm.
Those industrial size ones.
Yeah, right. Now at this point, there's kind of an understanding of the place is under attack, and so now we get these pockets of students that are hanging around, along with Dolph, kind of kind of the fly in the ointment. But that's the thing. I think that's the thing that kind of makes this movie a little bit. It takes it down a tier, is the fact that we have flies in the ointment as opposed to just one fly in the ointment.
Yeah, another thing about this, it almost felt like they could have gone about doing what they needed to do, and these other people would have had no clue they were doing it.
Exactly.
Like, they would have just been like, "Oh shit, we can't get out of here." Like if they would have just killed the security guard and then hid the body, don't leave it there.
Right.
Like, wait, where did the security guy go? We need to get the hell out of here. And like, yeah, Dolph, being the industrious man that he is, they probably would have busted a door, and then they would have all just left.
Yeah. Yes.
And these people, these Euro trash terrorists, could have done what they were going to do with the smack that was supposed to be incinerated, but they wanted to keep for themselves because there's a lot of money in that white powder. I don't know if you know this or not,
Yes.
but there is, and they're like, okay, and so I guess they altered this vehicle so they could just drive. It just seemed like a normal van that they were driving away in, not one filled with millions potentially in smack.
Right.
Because again, a lot of money in that white powder.
Yes. So now again, in the tradition of the Die Hard movie, the baddies have a complicated plan that has an ulterior motive. And so essentially what's happening is that they have a buddy on the inside with the Secret Service, and that guy is bringing the vice president to town, and he's telling the police department that we need all of your men to help us do security for the vice president. He uses that cliche line that makes no sense, and that is that the vice president is the second most powerful man in the world, which isn't true. No. I'm sure J.D. Vance would tell you he's not the second most powerful man in the world right now. Right. And I don't think Kamala Harris, obviously she wasn't a man, but was not the second most powerful person in the world. Right. Yeah, Al Gore. I under Clinton.
Well, he invented the internet, so maybe in Al Gore's case.
So it is possibly. But I mean, do you like whenever Clinton would talk, Al Gore would just be there. It was almost like when he ran for president, everybody was like, "Who is Al Gore?" Like we invented. Like it was easy to come up with these things. Like he invented, like it was easy for things like he invented the internet to stick to him because nobody knew him outside of that because he wasn't the second most powerful man in the world. He was the vice president. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that whole, and when they mentioned that, I was almost like, again, I'm like, oh no, here it's happening again. Yep. The old age, because I'm like, is the vice president involved in this movie? Because I don't remember some vice president angle in this thing. Right. And again, it's been a while since I've seen it. Yeah. At least I knew I saw this movie. But I'm like, was the vice president? Oh, so that was a little bit like, wait a minute, but nothing really ever comes of that.
No.
Just this Fed, pulling his weight, throwing his weight around.
Right. And so what happens is it's just two police officers escorting this. And this technique I don't think I've ever seen in a movie before. So our baddie, with his frosted tips and his painted nails, he climbs up. He's underneath like the van, and he under the police van, he puts something underneath it that causes it to stop, and then he shoots through the bottom of it. And the bullets, I guess, because it goes up through the buttocks as they're sitting there.
I was gonna say he got him right in the taint.
Right, exactly. But I guess the bullet can go through the whole system up into the brain and kill someone if you do it that way. I don't know.
Yeah, the taint to the brain path is a devastating one.
Right. And this guy was an expert at it. He takes these two guys out, which, again, the fact that he's able to kill these two police officers so easily, but he can't shoot high school kids at point blank range, but hey, maybe he just need to have them in a van and he needed to be underneath them to be able to.
Yeah, he should have been aiming for their taints, but he wasn't.
Exactly.
Come on now.
Yes. But
have we got?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No. No, all I was going to say quickly is, to your point, they should have just taken this van and driven off somewhere, and they would have been fine.
I don't. Yeah. Why was the school? Because I get they were going to blow up the school, and then obviously everybody would be concerned, oh shit, the school's blowing up.
Right.
Don't mind that van leaving town. But why would they be minding that van leaving town anyway?
Right. I mean, Hamilton, Ontario has to have. I mean, yes, again, it's not the city that Toronto or even Buffalo is, but it's got to have its share of vans coming in and out of town.
Right. They could be going to the Cops Coliseum, for God's sake. I don't know what's going on.
Right.
But, yeah. Have we gotten to the tunnel part yet? Or no, we're getting there.
Oh, right. So
that nonsensical storyline where there's some kind of construction going on near the school, and somehow there's a tunnel that connects to the. Why?
Right. Because what we get is, when we first get introduced to the tunnel, it's the Hungarian guys who don't know where they're going, but you also get the uppity security guard who's like, "Hey, you guys aren't supposed to be here," which. It makes when that security guy gets plugged with a couple silencer rounds, you almost kind of want it, because you're like, I've dealt with uppity security guards before. Yeah, go ahead, take care of that guy. But yeah, and then that's how they get into the school, is through the tunnel, I think, right?
Yeah, through it, and I don't even know that it's really there's this almost just a concrete footer,
right?
That I don't even think someone could really fit into that hole that's there. Right. Do you actually see them go in there? They're just always lingering around it.
I think somebody climbs down it. I think they climb down it.
That's true.
But we don't even know what that is when they're climbing down. That could be anything that we could be seeing from below. That could be a manhole of some sort. I mean, who knows what that is? Yeah.
Right, the manhole, which is very close to the taint, but not the taint. The other thing, not to spoil anything, this is going to be one of those ones. Sometimes I do these shows, even on my own show. You talk about a movie and you're like, man, I really, really love this movie. I feel like I'm going to talk myself out of enjoying this movie by the time we're done. But again, not to be the spoiler, but Earl Hendorf, Dolph's Bosnia buddy, who is now a cop. I don't know. You would think the cops would be able to get him into the school.
Yes. Yeah. I agree.
He could have just opened a door for him. If it's that, if they're that concerned with security, the cops are probably looped into it or something. And obviously he was there outside the school. I don't know. You would think he'd have a way to bypass the system and just, here, I'm going to let you in this door.
Well, because also he's like, if I discharge my weapon, I have to file a whole thing. And it's like, are they, every time you go to the police station, are they inspecting your weapon? I don't, So the twist we get with this guy, so we got two things that sort of happen at once, is that Dolph is, so the place is locked and Dolph has been shot. And so this is what happens in most DTV Dolph movies. He gets shot in the left bicep. Or the left shoulder muscle, and I think a big reason for that is that they want to show that he's not invincible, but that's a good place that he can be shot, where he can still use everything, use all of his arms, his legs, and everything. But he decides he needs to cauterize this wound. Yeah, that was a big thing too, wasn't it? I guess that was from Rambo, or Schwarzenegger movies, this idea that you've got to cauterize the wound.
Yeah, and they wanted to make use of the metal shop, although we'll get some more use later.
Yes, it's for
Stay tuned, everyone.
yes.
But yeah, he uses the welding equipment there, and they build up to it. It's a pretty lengthy segment
Yeah.
where he's heating up that bar, and then he's gonna put that right in the because it didn't like go through, it didn't enter. It's like it must have just winged him
Yeah. Yeah.
because he doesn't have to like dig out a bullet,
Right.
but he just needs to seal up that wound.
Yeah, and so he does that, and yeah, like you said, it is a long period of time of like heating it up, and then cutting back to the kids doing stuff and other things happening. We get a situation where the kids, where Hoagie and Alicia are holed up in the art room. He gets the paper cutter. When one of the baddies shows up, Alicia sprays him in the face with spray paint, which doesn't really get on his face at all. And then Hoagie.
I wonder if it was like a sealer.
Oh, that could
like
be maybe. Yeah.
The seal coat, so you don't see color. It was just clear liquid.
Just got him in the face, and then Hoagie gets him in the thigh with the paper cutter, and then they run off. But this guy seems to take a lot of abuse and seems to make it through most of the movie. He gets to the almost to the end, but it's almost like Peter Spellos in Hard to Die or something like, where it's just like or I should have given another movie like that where a character just keeps getting stuff happening to them and they just sort of make it through the movie somehow. But yeah, so we got that happening. So they're kind of cutting back and forth between these little things and Dolph heating up this rod, and it gets to like this really bright red, and then he puts it on him. But then he realizes like, oh, hey, I could use this acetylene torch to break the chains that are blocking the doorway. So he does that, but he sets off the fire alarm, which really upsets our baddie. I don't know if he's on the spectrum or something, but he doesn't like loud noises, and it makes him really mad.
It could be. When you mentioned Dolph heating up his rod, I realized that we didn't mention Margot, his love interest, who's like the principal's secretary, like the admin, or she works in the office.
Yeah.
And she's sweet on old Sam Decker. I believe they may be engaged.
I think they're engaged. Yeah.
He was very excited, or she was very excited that he was going to take this new job, better pay, blah blah blah. But she left when the principal left. But will she be back?
Yeah,
we'll find out.
Because what happens is that while Dolph is trying to torch the place with the acetylene torch, there, the baddie, he goes outside and he's out having a cigarette, and he sees the police. And we think that his interaction with the police officer, Dolph's friend, is a bad thing, right? We think that the baddie's going to kill him somehow.
Yeah, I don't understand this either, but please tell everyone.
Yeah, so he puts the guy up against the police officer guy, puts his gun to the back of his head and turns him, has him puts him up against the rail and is like questioning him and stuff like that. And then he goes bang really loudly, and we think, what's that about? And then we find out that they're friends. They're
in cahoots.
Yeah.
But who were they putting that show on for?
Right, exactly.
Us?
Right, exactly. Right.
Apparently, yes, that's the answer. But was there anyone there that he had to show up like, hey, bad guy, I'm a cop, you can't do it? Like, no, there was nobody around.
Right.
These two just like to do some role playing. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with that. If that's what tickles their taints, so be it. But listen now, is this what they usually do on a Friday night? Like, oh, officer, you've caught me.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so they're kind of so then they're going back and forth about things because the cop is like, hey, why is everything going haywire or whatever? And he's like, no, we're just some kids that ended up, and you said the place was supposed to be empty. You didn't say there was going to be Sam Decker and a bunch of teenagers here causing havoc for us. And I think the police officer, he didn't say this, but this is probably what he should have said, is like, well, why are you interacting with the kids? Why don't you just
do what you're supposed to do and get the hell out of there?
Right.
If there's kids in there and we blow up the school, oh well.
Right. Exactly.
Obviously they don't care.
Yeah, no, exactly. Now, speaking of blowing up, so the bald of the two brothers, Biff, right, or Miff, right? Miff.
Please don't disrespect that man. He was born on the island of Malta, but raised in Toronto. You may know him as Anthony J. Mifsud, or just Miff to his friends.
As he's known professionally.
Yes.
Yeah, so Miff confronts Dolph just as Dolph is breaking open the door, and so as they're fighting, Dolph blows up the acetylene torch with the guy. Like he essentially he.
Well, no, Gloria comes in.
Oh, that's right.
And she
Gloria.
starts shooting, and there's the tank,
That's
and
right.
she ends up taking out Miff, and she believes she's also taken out Sam Decker.
Yeah, because we get that really great shot of him running, and
Right.
I will say, like Dolph definitely looks, even though he's big, tall, athletic guy, he also looks like a guy in his late 40s running.
Later he would. I wonder if he was already suffering from some sort of ankle problems, because I know that's where I believe he had the cancer.
Right, and he had the hip injury too, like when he got a little bit older. But I think even just when you're that old, it's like even just like that like when he goes to see the kids in the movie theater and he jumps down from the balcony, like you land on that, and that's gonna hurt. That's gonna gonna hurt for a few days when you even do that move.
This isn't pentathlon, Dolph.
Right.
We're some years removed from that. This isn't maximum fitness. Is that what it was? Maximum fitness?
Yeah, what is that? No, look, I can't.
Maximum potential.
Maximum potential. That's right. Yes. Yeah. No, you're right. It's not that Dolph at all. No, this is closing out on 50 Dolph, and but he's trying to play it younger. He's trying to be a younger character in this movie. But yeah, you can definitely tell by the hairstyle that this is not pentathlon Dolph. This is not the early 90s anymore. Nobody's wearing OP gear.
No, they're wearing caffeine now, because that's the thing. I gotta say, this movie came out in early 2004 here in the United States, and I can just remember the summer of 2004. Everybody who was anybody was wearing caffeine branded clothing that summer. It was the hot look, and we really owe it all to Mick Ashton, and everybody who wore that summer thought they were hot shit. So
yeah, yes, exactly. That's what my dad would say. They think they're hot shit. Yeah, exactly.
They all thought they were hot shit. Your dad, I think he invented that line in 2004. He was sitting around,
right,
and he saw all these people wearing caffeine and bright colors, and he's like, boy, all these people think they're hot shit.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that was one of those dadisms that he just latched onto. And so, the other thing I was thinking about too, like beyond the fact that Mick Ashton was hot shit, and my dad would have seen him and been like, that kid thinks he's hot shit. This is actually something.
Can we dissect this thing? Like, right. Why would hot shit be a good thing?
Yeah, I didn't get that either. And it was one of those things where I never really, I never really asked my dad where he got some of these, or what they, if he ever thought about what they meant.
There's tons of it. Like, it's cold as balls out there. How cold are balls?
Right, exactly.
Shouldn't they be 98.6 degrees?
Right.
I mean,
yes. Right.
Not warmer because they're all cooped up. What's
right?
I mean, they're right there by the taint.
Right.
Come on now.
Yes.
Well, I've said taint on this program more than I've said it in my entire life. Folks.
Right.
So write it down. It's a history-making event. But yeah, cold as balls. Hot shit.
Yeah. It doesn't make a lot of sense, and it's like, but
cold as hell.
Right.
Cold as hell.
Cold as hell. Right. Yeah. Like how cold is hell? Yeah. It's
No, it's not cold at all.
Yeah.
You should say that in the summer. Man, it's cold as hell out here, ain't it?
Right. Exactly.
I'm glad I got my sleeveless caffeine shirt on because I'm hot as shit right now.
Right. Exactly. Now I was wondering if the caffeine shirt was I wonder if like Degrassi Junior High had like a character that wore
we need to do some Canadian research.
Right. I'm wondering if like everybody in Canada, they were just like, because watching CBC and going to hockey. Like, I wonder if you watch a hockey game from the early 2000s, if what it was, because there was the strike where they lost the whole year. So we don't have footage of hockey games from that time. So we wouldn't have seen, I bet you anything, if they had played hockey that year, you would have just seen crowds, instead of wearing hockey jerseys of the team they supported, it would have just been kids in orange caffeine shirts.
Yeah. I have some Canadian coworkers. I'm going to do some research. I'm going to try to be like you, intrepid researcher, learned scholar. I'm going to try to educate myself, and I will get back to you on it.
Right. That's a
I mean, I hope. Well, wait a minute. 2004. Some of them may not have been. Some of them should have been
right.
young. Some of them may not be alive.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so old.
Yeah.
People find my sketches that I don't have to tie.
Well, because again, like think about like so my siblings were born in the late '80s, and so they were in high school at this time. Neither of them wore caffeine shirts. I can just say that, and I don't remember them bringing any friends home that had caffeine shirts on. So at least in Kittery, Maine.
Well, your father would have frowned upon it anyway.
Yes. No, he would have
like, no kids of mine are going to walk around like they're hot shit.
Right, exactly. You're wearing a
your brother didn't walk around here like he was hot shit, and you're not going to do it either.
Right, exactly. Yeah, no, I wasn't walking around with my caffeine shirt. Now I did wear hockey jerseys, so there's that Canadian part, I guess. But yeah, no, so yeah, I mean, and caffeine shirt guy at one point he bugs out. He leaves everybody. He's like, you know what? The pregnant woman's holding us back. I don't like being around you guys. I'm getting out of here. And Dolph finds him, and he's like, hey, you ran out on your people. And he's like, you can't abandon them. And he's like, oh, you're right. And then Dolph realizes I'm technically supposed to be talking to a high school kid. Maybe I should dial it back a bit too.
Well, and Dolph prevents him from going through the door that's been like as a like bomb. It's like set to go off if he trips a sensor. So he stops him, and then that's when he's like, wait a minute, where's everybody else? Right. And they're, and then he goes back to his teachings. That Mick was blown like, why do we need to know about history, man? And everybody else is like, yeah, why do we need to know? But he's like, remember in class, the side that wins is the one who wants to, I don't remember, something, fight for their cause more, believes in their cause. Yeah. Doesn't matter who has the most weapons. It's who is most believing in their cause. And then we get some A-team like shit that's about to happen.
Yes. So Dolph realizes, oh, armor. That's the thing. Now the funny thing is earlier on when Dolph has a scuffle with Margot, he finds a police riot shield in the security office. So this is what they think of these kids in this school, that there's just like a riot shield hanging around. And he's using it like John Wick with his bulletproof coat to like block bullets.
And let's dissect this as well, please. I mean, you've got to, let's say there's a situation
right,
and the whole school is rioting. You've got one security guard with one riot shield.
Right.
What in the hell is that gonna do?
Right. Yeah, it's just, hey, it's there. All right, I'm gonna use it, and it just, So Dolph starts thinking about armor. Oh, armor, that's a good idea. So he creates this like, I don't know, like D-Day from Animal House thing. It's got spikes on it, and at the same time, the kids have discovered that it was archery. Well, so it was originally basketball for gym, but now it was by this time
they had set up for archery on Monday. Like, let's set it up before we leave.
Right,
exactly. Save us time on Monday.
Right, and we don't have to worry about. And
same with the kitchen staff. Oh, we're gonna have salad on Monday. Just leave the lettuce out.
Yes, it'll be ready for us to cut it when we get in. That's right. Yes, but Willie has the idea of like, hey, why don't we use these bows and arrows here to fight off the baddies? So they set up all these hay bales and just have a pitched battle against the baddies. They do hit the guy who was hit with the paper cutter. They hit him with an arrow in the chest, but he seems to survive it.
Yeah, and then Gloria gets taken down for a moment by the bleachers. That are like the automatic bleachers where they press the button and they come out shooting out and knock her down. They should have. She wasn't. They should have let her be like center of them. They probably would have done more damage, but it just kind of caught her real quick, and she stumbled for a moment, but she was right back up. That pink hair just popped right back up.
Yeah. Well, she also got hit by the fence.
That's trap. Right. They set the fence trap when they were all in the auditorium.
Yeah. And that really didn't do much to her either. She said, it knocked her down, but she was okay otherwise.
Right.
Yeah. So she seems okay. But then Dolph comes in with Mick, and they've got this big armored thing that that they're pushing with.
Yeah, I wonder, was it like a cart or something
Yeah.
they modified? Maybe it was, some sort of cart.
Yeah, they modified the cart, and it's got spikes on it. And now they finally take this guy out, the baddie who's been hit with the paper cutter, with the bow and arrow. They finally stab him. They run him right through, and that's it. He's finally done. But that's all they get out of that machine as well. That's all that's for.
I hope it was the cart that was used to move a overhead projector around.
Right?
Because it wasn't a tall TV cart.
No.
So it would have had to been for like the overhead projector.
Right. Yes, a good old TV cart. I remember when I was in high school, we would have substitute teachers, especially when they did study hall, that cared so little that they would turn on talk shows like Richard Bay and Jerry Springer on those TVs. Yeah, it was So yeah, but that see, by the time 2004 came around, there was probably reforms that they were like, no watching bad talk shows, with that.
Right. Like, see, at my corporation, I'd roll the TV in so we could watch G.I. Joe.
Yes, you got G.I. Joe. Exactly. Yes. Now, okay, so at this point, everybody's kind of connected again, and then Dolph is like trying to go out and find these guys. Now, at this point, they figured out, because obviously the police officer knows who Dolph is, so they figured out who Dolph is, and the baddie calls his fiance and says, "Hey, there's been an emergency at the school. I need you to come down here right away." And so now he's got her. So there's that too.
But there's that moment earlier where he's like in the office and he he pulls up and it says Sam Decker and it says something about the military under. I thought he would have already known that.
Yeah.
Again, you're gonna make me hate this movie. And when we said, oh yeah, we should go with in this direction, I'm like, oh yeah, Detention, caffeine shirt. I remember liking it. I don't think I like it so much anymore, but continue.
Well, it is fun in the sense that Dolph is kind of badassery, kind of running around.
Oh yeah, Dolph is fine. Dolph is fine. Mick Ashton, trendsetter. He's all right. I mean, he's not, but he's a good character because you need that kind of character.
Right. Exactly. Now, I'm trying to think. So at this point, the girlfriend's been caught. Dolph is there. The kids are there. So now the kids are supposed to try to escape. But when they get there, Hoagie recognizes right away that the entire place is rigged with C4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Margot shows up and she sets it off. So then Willie gets on Hoagie's back and they charge Margot. Actually, she doesn't set it off yet. They charge Margot. Willie stabs her in the neck, but she shoots Hoagie. And then just before she dies, she sets off the thing. And
not Margot. You're talking about Gloria. Margot was his lady.
Oh, right. Gloria. Yes, that's it. Yeah. The baddie.
Why were they going after Margot? I'm like, oh, did they go after? What version did you watch?
Oh, right.
The version was much darker.
Margot's the girlfriend. Right. Yeah. Gloria's the baddie. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Okay. I'm getting my names mixed up. Yeah. So they kill so before she dies, she sets off the bomb and Willie's trying to figure out how to fix it. Whereas Hoagie, who's almost dead, says to Alicia, why don't you just push the button again? That might stop it. And
right. Yeah. Couldn't make it go couldn't make it start again. It's already started.
Exactly. Now I should stop here just because the cats are getting crazy. So I'll stop the recording here. I'll feed the boys and I'll be right back. My newest book, Mark in Sales, is available now. It follows Mark, who over the last 10 years has turned himself into the best possible salesperson he can be. And in that time, he's made his family rich selling cut-rate health insurance to companies that are either looking to save a few bucks or don't know any better. The problem is, he's missed out on the lives of his wife and kids, and the employees of those companies he's sold insurance to now have to deal with higher medical bills and the loss of previously covered providers. As Mark comes to understand the reality of the product he's selling and the toll his long hours at work have taken on his relationship with his family, his company gives him the promotion he's always wanted. Can he now throw away everything he's worked so hard for to make a career change? Mark in Sales takes place in the same world as Chad in Accounting and explores what it means to be an adult in modern society, from family and career obligations to making sense of a changing world as time passes more quickly. You can get Amazon and Kindle, Kindle Unlimited, and in paperback. The link is in the podcast description. So they defuse the bomb, but Hoagie looks like he's not in good shape at this point. And, it's kind of one of those things where everybody's like, oh, come on, you got to get through this. Now, we'd already seen one of the teenagers get killed earlier because there was a young girl who had a thing for Dolph, who caught Dolph hooking up with Margot. And she was upset. So she went and did some drugs with this ne'er-do-well.
I believe it was Corey Washington is his character name.
Yeah.
They went down to like the boiler room, and they were there obviously when the tunnel rats came through. And
yes.
Corey they both run away. She gets out. She goes through the tunnel.
Yes. Yeah.
But Corey doesn't quite make it, and he's shot in the back.
Yeah. So that's our first teenager who gets killed. And I think, again, like you said, compared to the horror movie where the kids are all doing bad things, and you're kind of like, okay, I guess that must come from Carrie. Is that where that?
Possibly.
Yeah, but in a horror, in an action movie, I think that's one of the things that Die Hard did really well is the people who get it. I mean, obviously the head of the company, the bad billionaire head of the company, if he gets it, that's not the worst thing in the world. And then Hart Bachner or whatever, obviously he's a jerk. You want to see him get it. But in this movie, you're kind of like, these are high school kids. Like, even if they're jerks, you kind of, they're still high school kids. They're still technically supposed to be high school kids anyway.
Correct. And I have said it on maybe on this show, definitely on my, like, teenagers can often be the worst versions of ourselves because you're moody and you're angsty and you're just like, you can be an asshole. And, so if every teenager who was that way was killed, nobody would ever grow up, is what I'm trying to say.
Right, exactly. So it's one of the harsh things about this movie that when you've got all this other goofy stuff, and we got some goofy stuff coming here. For example, Mick it breaks off from everybody else, and Dolph wants him to go, leave and go get help. And instead, what he does, he goes to the auto shop, gets himself a Chrysler little Baron, I think it was. It was a Chrysler of some sort that he grabbed. I remember my friends and I, when we first watched this movie, it was like USA, like in the morning, on a Saturday morning. It was like one of those deals where, like, again, friends in Bangor. So good old Bangor, Maine seems to come up, but it's near University of Maine where we all went to school. So that's why I think some of them were going to school up there at the time. But it was one of those deals where, like, one friend like hosted a bunch of us, and we were kind of all waking up, on the couches or whatever, and turned on USA, and here's Dolph, in a school, and this kid, steals a Chrysler, and you think, okay, well, what is he going to do with this Chrysler? He rides it right through the concrete wall and through the the lockers.
Beautiful. He's really, this is like, that's the thing. I think Mick's he has a redemption arc in here because he is, just a pain in the ass high schooler who gets detention. He's the one who somehow can crawl across a drop ceiling and not fall through. He's a lot of things. He abandons his friends. But then, he has that moment, and now he's trying to be all he can be.
Yes, exactly. And so, he has crashed through here. So now I should point out, before we get to the Dolph confrontation with the baddie while Mick is driving through the school, the police officer, he has a confrontation outside with his police officer friend. He incapacitates him, handcuffs him to a fence, and then tells the young woman that has a crush on him to drive and call the state police. The problem is she doesn't leave in time. The cop gets himself free.
He had a hidden handcuff key in like his sock or his shoe.
Right, exactly. Which is that an old policeman's trick? I don't know. You never know when the perp's going to use your own cuffs on you. So make sure you got a pair.
I know. I don't know if it's a policeman's trick, but I know somebody who did always carry a handcuff key with them, just in case something would happen. And that is the one and only James E. Cornette.
Yeah.
And there was a time, where when he was in WWF, they tried to rib him with something. They handcuffed him,
and he had the key.
So he was able to avoid what they were trying. I don't think it may have had to do with Damien. It may have something with the Jake the Snake and Damien and all that. So
Yeah, it makes sense. And so maybe this movie was inspired by that, or it was an homage of,
Maybe,
Yes. But
maybe.
he throws the young woman in the trunk, and that's it for her. That's why if you look on the IMDb credits, she's way down. I think she only did like some episodes of Goosebumps in this movie. She didn't really do much else. But
She wanted to do Dolph,
she was
and
yeah, exactly.
that didn't work out for her.
The other thing too, and one of the things is that we always think of like the narrative around comic books. I don't know what kind of narrative, but you know what I mean. Like there's the idea that comic books is like a young man's kind of thing. But you look at the drawing that she was doing of Dolph, and she would have had a good career for herself in drawing comic books, I think.
She was on 2 episodes of Degrassi: The Next Generation.
That's right. Yes, and I wonder again if those episodes we would have seen some kids wearing caffeine shirts.
And also the TV movie Cyber Seduction: His Secret Life.
Oh, that's got to be the only after the colon you could have after cyber seduction, right? Is His Secret Life.
Yeah, I would guess so. It seems very. It just looks so. It's a Lifetime movie, not surprisingly.
Right, right, exactly. So I wonder, like when you're an actor, like how that works. Like if you either push through that period and you keep and you keep going and eventually makes it, or if you just like you've been on like the third or fourth of these things and it's like the creepy producer's trying to invite you to his casting couch and you're just like, you know what, selling real estate sounds like a better deal. I'm done.
Yeah, a high school kid develops an addiction to internet porn so intense that it begins to destroy his life and tear his family apart.
I think my friend saw that one. Does it have Corin Nemec or somebody like that in it? Maybe
Jeremy Sumpter.
Okay, so my friend was telling me about it. How like there's a scene in the movie where like the parents confront him, the young man, and he's like, I don't have addiction to pornography, mom. And I guess it was like a hilarious, like it was great, like the delivery was great, and so my friend said it was funny. I guess if that helps, but if that's the one, I mean, it's possible there could have been multiple.
Of course, once they hit on something that's hot,
yes,
Lifetime just keeps churning them out, just like Justin was churning it out, watching porn on the internet.
Yes, exactly.
That he totally wasn't addicted to.
Right. Yeah, that's going to be the worst conversation with your parents, right? Is the like. Because I get that this is probably one of those things that's nice about being slightly older is that like porn was like either like sneaking something from the behind the beaded curtain or or just doing getting an erotic thriller and just sort of dealing with the fact that it's not fully there. There's the people that had like there's like the guys that would hide their porn in the woods and kids would find it. It's like your mom would, it's not like my mom would have been like, oh, Matt, you and your friends are going out in the woods too much. Like I think you've got an addiction to going out in the woods, like you're never going to have that conversation of, it's I think it's just a fortunate thing that there wasn't an internet pornography to possibly get addicted to back then. And then by that token, you also were never going to have that fight with your parents, I guess. Yeah.
Would you like a bit of trivia
yes,
about Cyber Seduction: His Secret Life?
Yes.
One of the pornographic websites shown in the film was labeled "Naked Woman with No Clothes On."
That was the site.
I guess so.
Yeah. If it wasn't for like Google like tracking our searches and stuff, it would be kind of funny to see if that domain is still available. Naked woman with no clothes on.com. I guess one of the questions is if she's naked.
Right. Why do you have to specify that she has no clothes on?
Yeah. Is it possible that Naked Women was already taken, but Naked Women with no clothes on, that domain was still available?
Possibly.
Yeah. You get that was the age of the .com age. We're talking about the whole AI thing. Before that was the .com boom and
Hmm.
bust. And there were a lot of intrepid
There's
people trying
some
to
busts on a naked woman with no clothes on.
exactly. Everyone was trying to figure out a way. And it's like, on the one hand, pets.com, it failed. But naked women with no clothes on, right?
Mm. It's
Eh,
huge. It's still huge to this day.
yeah, still raking in the bucks. So it's you just never know what's gonna, but yeah, I can't even imagine I wonder if the writer who wrote that thought there was no way they were going to put that in the movie, right? Like, they're just like, oh, I'm just going to call it Naked Woman with No Clothes On. That's fine.
Two writers
Uh,
credited for this. I'm wondering if maybe it was a rewrite. It was Wesley Bishop and Richard Kletter.
wait, no, was one of them the director?
No, the
Oh,
director is Tom McLaughlin,
okay, okay, yeah. So
not of the McLaughlin group,
the
though.
macabre, right, exactly. Because yeah, Richard Pierce, who we have on here sometimes, he writes those Lifetime movies.
Yes.
He's talked about that like they'll come to and say, this is the trend this year, so you need to do, like, is it like, being stalked on social media? That's the trend, so we need those kind of movies. He would have been younger at that time, so he probably wouldn't have been writing those, but I think he would have been in college then. But it sounds like the same thing. But he said that, like, a lot of times when he writes a movie and he sends it to Lifetime, then the director will do different things with it, and sometimes they'll even
Right.
get their own, like, co-writing credit or something like that for that.
Yeah,
But
he directed Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives, and also wrote it.
the first of those movies that I ever saw. Yeah, but that's got Tom Matthews in it, I believe, right?
It
Albert Pyun.
does.
Yes.
Yep,
Yeah.
he plays Tommy in there. Yep.
Yeah. I've always that one's, I think, because of that. I guess maybe you always remember your first Friday the 13th.
Mm-hmm.
But that was my friend and I watched it on WLVI channel 56 in Boston. I was afraid to watch horror movies because as a kid growing up, my parents would watch the news, and the news was always talking about these really horrible things happening, and I always thought, well, the horror movies, obviously they got to be worse than that, and I found out they were actually better.
Right, right.
It's like, yes, I remember this. I was kind of on a tangent here, but I don't know how old I was when Ted Bundy was on trial. But I remember my parents would have the ABC nightly news with Peter Jennings on every night, and they would be going over graphic detail of the Ted Bundy trial, of, like, the murders, how crazy he was in court as defending himself, and how you just see this scary guy on TV. And then my mom is talking to my dad, and she just kind of casually drops out there, yeah, when I was going across the country, I was in one of the hotels he was in Colorado. And my dad's like, oh, so you could have been one of his victims. And she's like, yeah, I guess I could have. And here I was, like, I don't know, 6, 7 years old. And I'm like, so that means I wouldn't have existed. Like, my mom would have died a horrible death and I wouldn't have existed. That's, and it's like, I'm supposed to be eating my fish sticks with the shoestring fries and all that stuff while that's going on.
Right.
It's like, but
Yeah, but don't watch any horror movies,
right,
Matt. You'll have nightmares.
exactly, right. Tom Matthews in Friday the 13th Part 6 is not doing anything near that kind of stuff.
No.
He's just strapping
No.
Jason to a boulder. I'm sorry, I'm giving away the end of Friday the 13th Part 6.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm spoiling. Yeah, I'm spoiling Friday the 13th Part 6. That's the only thing I remember about the movie, actually, is that. Well, I remember him getting arrested, I think, and the young woman hooking up with him.
Oh, yeah, she liked him. She thought he was a bad boy. Yeah, but yeah, Tom McLaughlin. Good for him. He also did a episode of Freddy's Nightmares and 4 episodes of Friday the 13th.
Wow.
Series.
Oh, I remember that. That was that was a good deal too. That Friday the 13th this year. There was, like, trying to go along the lines of, like, shows like The Hitchhiker, I think, and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was one. I think at that time, I was like, what?
Right, exactly, right.
Jason Voorhees in it? Well, I'm not watching that. And I didn't.
Right. No, I don't think I remember.
I didn't watch it.
No.
But then I think it was on. Was it Chiller? Was that I think it was Chiller.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
On cable, and they were on there, and I got into it. It was good. It's a good show. I mean, it's one of those, like, kind of like Halloween 3. Like, if you just are like, oh, there's no Michael Myers. Fuck it.
Right.
Yeah, but you're missing out because it's a really good movie. So, and that was a good series. It was, the objects were cursed and they were sold and they had to go recover. It was perfect. They didn't know how many of these things got sold. And right. So it could have went on forever, or it could have went on for whatever, 2 or 3 seasons that it did. So
yeah. Yeah, it was.
And Vanity is on one of the episodes.
Yeah,
Freaking Vanity.
yes.
God bless her.
Gotta love Vanity. Yeah, showing up on, she was in movie that I saw recently, South Beach, with a Fred Williamson movie with that I was going to say an upcoming episode of the podcast, but for people who have already listened, the episode have already come out. That another Nepo Babies we did with Will from Exploding Helicopter. But Vanity was in that. She was playing Fred Williamson's ex-wife, and I don't know if there was any talk about the fact that they were probably 30 years different in age, something like that.
I don't think that mattered to the Hammer.
No, exactly. No, he didn't care. Yeah, I think, you gotta, so I got into those shows because I had friends who lived up the street who got me into The Hitchhiker. They would watch. That was what was that, on Friday nights on USA or something like that?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I was over there doing a sleepover with them, and they were like, "Oh, we got to watch The Hitchhiker." I was like, "Okay, yeah." They were also ones who were kind of got me into Hong Kong movies, because they were the ones who introduced me to Chinese Connection, I think was the
okay,
yeah. So they introduced me to that movie, and then I started seeking more of those movies out after that. But yeah, I think when I saw The Hitchhiker, I was kind of wanted to consume more shows like that. So when Friday the 13th came out, I checked it out a little bit because of that.
Speaking of Will,
yes.
on his letterbox, he does have a list: Chekhov's Anything But a Gun.
Right, and we're about to get to our Chekhov's flask here.
So he needs to add. We need to hit him up and say, you got to add.
Yes.
Detention.
Yeah. We'll mention him on Blue Sky. Let him know, because at this point, Dolph has his confrontation with his police officer buddy. Police officer buddy shoots him in the chest, right. Which, I guess if you're a trained shooter, right, you want to hit somebody in the heart, that takes him out. Yeah. And Dolph shoots him back with the machine gun that he's got on. And we find out that Dolph survived the confrontation because he had the flask.
The very flask that the man who tried to kill him gave him.
Yeah. So there's an extra layer.
Perfect irony. Yeah. That's interesting writing.
Yes. And thinking about Canadians, right? Alanis Morissette is Canadian. If she had seen this movie before she wrote the song, isn't it ironic? She would have said, it's like giving a guy a flask, and then when you go to shoot him, you shoot him in that flask. And isn't that ironic, right?
And that rolls right off the tongue. So she should have. Yes. She should have used those lyrics.
Right, exactly. It was perfect. Exactly. But yeah, so that guy's done. We're down to just our Eurotrash baddie, who, for me with the Eurotrash baddie, I felt he was like a thinner, more Eurotrashy version of Adam Richman from Man vs. Food. That's kind of where I had him. He reminded me if Adam Richman was a villain in a movie, I feel like he would act similar to this. I think like when he's doing his more cutesy joking around with people things, you could see that turning bad if he was angry. He could be this villain.
Yeah, again, I was just getting Everclear from him, and I was singing "Father of Mine," and it was "Father of Mine." Says you're hot shit. Oh, that'd be your song.
Yeah. What happened with Everclear? They kind of devolved into just like, hey, remember the 70s were cool because we were kids in the 70s? It was like all the songs were like that eventually. It was, there was no like Santa Monica. Santa Monica was the one that was like kind of the big one. That's the one that made me buy the CD. I was like, oh, I got to buy this Everclear CD from Strawberry Records.
Well, I'll tell you what, Everclear is still out there.
Yeah.
They will be in Columbus on May the 15th.
Oh, just after school ends, I would imagine, right?
And it's tickets starting at $466 to see Everclear? What the hell's going on in this world?
I don't think college kids at Ohio State can afford that, can they? I guess I know there's other people, I guess, that live in Columbus.
Well, this will come out. So yeah, you'll have time if you want to make the trip to Columbus, folks. But as we're recording this, we're a week away from them being in Buffalo.
Oh man! So speaking of Hamilton, right there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it. Kind of in a way, it's almost kind of like Works. It's fate that we'd be talking about a movie that takes place in Hamilton while they're going to Buffalo. Yeah, I mean,
You know,
maybe Alex Karzis, maybe he makes an appearance.
I'm gonna see if they're near you because I want you to go see them really bad. They're in Plymouth, Mass, and Beverly, Mass, Nashua, New Hampshire. Let's see. Do we got any Philadelphia dates here?
So Beverly, Mass. I could take the train from Philadelphia to Boston, and then the commuter rail from North Station in Boston up to Beverly.
Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, so that's kind of close, but it's not like there's no train to get there. So it's easier for me to get to Beverly, Mass, than it is Bethlehem, PA, without a
It's not
car.
York. How about York, Pennsylvania?
Oh yeah, I think if I
Or
go,
Warrendale?
or I don't know what Warrendale is. York, I do know. I think if I take the train to Harrisburg, I can get a bus to York.
You've got a lot of great opportunities. Ocean City, Maryland's got 2 dates because it's huge.
Oh yeah, is that the summer?
Ocean's Calling 2026. Okay.
Oh, is that like
Uh, some sort of festival, maybe?
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. I don't.
See, I always understood like, but maybe I'm thinking of like maybe not Ocean City. Maybe I'm thinking of like the classier beaches that a lot of times they have like smooth jazz festivals and those. But
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, I don't see Everclear. Everclear, though. I guess there's a thing right with these bands. Once they reach a certain level, most of their audience is like older and has like a little bit more disposable income to go to movies. But I don't, or to the concerts. But I don't know if Everclear's ever going to get to like the James Taylor, Carly Simon level, right? Where it's like just boomers like getting like plastic cups of wine, and sitting on lawn chairs, festival kind of things.
Yeah, it's interesting. Who knew they would still be touring? But good for them.
Yeah. Well, because it's the weird thing about music today is that rock music, it doesn't chart. They new rock bands really can't make it, but old rock bands touring make the most money of any tour groups. I mean, obviously Taylor Swift makes a lot of money, but I think like if you just go based off different genres of music, it's rock bands from 80s, 90s, 2000s that make the most money for Live Nation or whatever those companies are that do ticketing.
Would you be interested in an Everclear tote bag?
Would they have
Because
tote bags?
it's only $10, which is a good deal.
That's now, is that from their site or is that a used
Yes,
one?
if you go to their site, everclearmusic.com. Just a free plug for you guys at the Everclear.
I is it possible to like get a tote like that and look at it and not just start humming "Father of Mine" like the moment?
No,
Yeah,
no.
it just would
And
always
you
be in
can
your
get
head,
in.
right?
You could. They still have some 2025 tour shirts. There's a nice hoodie, a nice baseball tee. You should get that for when you go to your
When I go to the baseball games, I wear the Everclear
yeah,
shirt. Yeah, because it's like it's neutral. So whatever game I
right.
go to, right, whatever, like
Especially when you're traveling and you're not really supporting any.
right,
Mhm.
where the Everclear. Yeah, and the tote bag. Well, so the problem with the tote bag is most places don't let you bring. I mean, if the tote bag was clear, if it was a clear
The
Everclear,
Everclear,
right?
yeah.
Exactly,
But
but
this one is black, so it's never clear.
never clear, right? So I think only Yankee Stadium lets you bring one in that's never clear.
Well, because you're paying $2,000 to get in, so they're like, what are the odds?
Even then, it's like I get the $10 cheap grandstands. It's like Yankee Stadium is the weird one where it's like you'd think they would be the toughest on everything. But yeah, if you pay the
Right.
$2,000, I don't even think they check anything. You just
No,
you're
you
going
just
through the
come in there
fancy.
with you can come in with a rocket launcher.
Right,
You'll be
exactly.
fine.
They sort of let you in the nice side with the rocket launcher. But yeah, I do like they have $10 grandstand seats, so you're like kind of way up. But yeah, what's great because like it's like if you're there for work or something, or if you're there just if you're just in town, you can like I see kids bring backpacks into the game, and it's like most places it's like unless you've got a 2-year-old, you can't bring a backpack in.
Right.
Yeah, it's just it's a yeah, Yankee Stadium. Yeah, it's so if you've got your Everclear tote, you can go to Yankee Stadium with it, but no other parks, no other. Yeah, they have to be clear. We talked to Everclear to see if they can make a clear version of their tote bag.
Hit them. Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got something for you.
Mm.
I've got a connection for you that you're not going to believe.
Okay. All right. All right.
So, our man, what's his name? Chester? Alex Karzis.
Oh yes, Alex Carson. Yes, yeah.
So he was married to Lisa Schrage, who was in Tropical Heat as Lisa McGrath, directed by Sam Firth, the one that they turned into the movie.
Oh, Crisscross.
That you and John covered. I would assume that has to be.
Yes, that's the one. Yes. So
look at that.
Who was she in that, I wonder?
She was Lisa McGrath. Was that the...
was she the partner?
No. I don't think she... Oh, you mean like his...
Like the woman that worked with him, yeah.
No, she was just in this episode. So, yeah.
I wonder if she was... Oh, she might have been the femme fatale then. The picture's not good on here, which is what happens, I think, a lot of times with these actors who, stopped working after. Oh, she was... Yeah. In Mary Lou, Hello, Mary Lou.
She was Mary Lou.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. No, so this is not the woman that I'm thinking of. So she may have been she must have been somebody else, unless she looked differently in the movie. She might have had, because he only has a couple images, but I remember poor Michael Ironside. He took one on the head in that movie. Prom Night 2, Electric Boogaloo. It's like everything is Electric Boogaloo, and so it's like easier to say that than whatever like the actual sequel name is, I guess.
Yeah, and he divorced her in 2003, so right before this, perhaps. That's why he dyed his hair, and
he was having a midlife crisis, maybe.
Yeah, he needed to just change his whole look, and then he did this movie with Dolph.
Well, because it's interesting for Dolph too, because this movie is made in Toronto, and I do think there was a period where he was doing more stuff in Bulgaria. It kind of kept him in Europe where his family was, and I think when he got divorced, I think he moved to LA, and I think he's been in LA since then. Yeah, it's I mean Toronto. I guess Toronto feels like it would be a great place to live, but. I mean, we see pictures of it on Instagram. It seems like it's a nice enough place. So I guess maybe it might be, I don't know. It seems like a nice enough city. But I guess Hamilton, what is that like? Maybe there must be like a commuter train you can take from Hamilton to Toronto.
You would think. Yeah, you would think so.
Yeah, it's, it's like smack in the middle of two other. I think it's the reason why they can't have a hockey team in Hamilton is that Toronto and Buffalo won't let them.
Well, who played at the Cops Coliseum? Was it just like a minor league or?
Oh yeah,
I know I know it wasn't being any, but they had a Coliseum.
Right. No, they have a football team. They have a professional football. They have a Canadian football team that plays there.
Because the first Royal Rumble was at the Cops Coliseum.
Yes. So they I think they might have a minor league team that plays, but then also I don't know. Is that where the football team would play, or that would be a stadium? I guess, right? That would be, yeah.
Yeah, they'd be outdoors.
Yeah.
So now it's the TD Coliseum.
So I think they have like they might have Toronto's AHL team, minor league team. So I think the AHL, I think that's the level that
the Hamilton Steelhawks began to play in '85. Do they still do it, or does that mean that? Royal Rumble. I know that. I don't need you, Wikipedia. I have that knowledge in my own brain.
Right, you know when the Royal Rumble was. Yeah.
In 2015, Montreal moved its AHL affiliate to St. John's. What the hell? The Ontario Hockey League's Belleville Bulls moved to Hamilton.
Oh, so the Ontario Hockey League, I think, is a junior league. So that's
the Bulldogs. Until they moved to Brantford. In January 2026, the New York Islanders were planning on moving their AHL affiliate to Hamilton from Bridgeport.
Bridgeport, yeah. So, well, if they're going to move, I should go up to Bridgeport and catch a game before they move then, if that's,
That's right. Yeah. And check out Everclear on the way.
Everclear, see if they're playing right. And then also the great video store that I always hear from Ty and Brett and also John Cross from PM Entertainment Podcast, The Hunt in Bridgeport, Connecticut. It's supposed to be a great video store.
You better go. You might be able to find I don't know, another New Image movie
Yes, right.
with a featurette on it.
Right, I could get it. Yes, I wonder if the other featurettes like use something like that. Like I mean, I don't know what Special Forces is featurette would have been, but like Cold Harvest, yeah, it might have been. Like you know, uh, I don't know what that would. Uh, Frigid something. I don't know. Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
yeah. Total Eclipse. I don't know. Because after school special, I wasn't expecting that when I saw on the back that it said featurette. I was like, okay, featurette. That sounds good. But then I saw that it was when I turned it on and it was after school special. But then I realized when I sent you the picture without any context, you were probably like, what is this? Detention after school special. I don't know. It's like no, that was
Yeah, I
featurette.
thought maybe you were looking something up and that's what came up when you
Right,
typed in detention.
right, exactly. Yeah, it's like no, that's like yeah, that was the featurette. Now, one of the things in the featurette, I should actually this is a perfect segue. We can as the kid as Mick is driving down the hallways, which I would it's like a funny scene, but it's also like the most ludicrous in the movie. Um, when I was watching the featurette, I guess they were saying that like that's like everybody's fantasy to go joyriding through their high school, and obviously, I never drive, so I wouldn't know, but it feels like that wouldn't be like I feel like you'd want to drive away from your high school. Like that was the whole point of kids getting their license, right? Is that you could drive away from high school.
Right, right. Yeah, no, that's never anything I thought of. Nowadays, I could because they completely demolished my high school, so it's just a big piece of land. I could just go tearing around in there. I'm sure the police might have something to say about it, but
You could do
I could
donuts.
do it, and it wouldn't cause any, wouldn't be doing any property damage really, just dirt.
Yeah, I think there's like a dead mall near is I don't know if it's in Akron or in Cleveland that like people go to like invest like they go and like explore around, and I think the police will come and like escort you out if you do that. But um it's like just kind of like the shell and all the glass is smashed out and everything, and like people go and explore it. Um, but yeah, so I was thinking like the same thing with with the school, but with the police, but at least with the school you can do like donuts and there's nothing there. You're not like walking around an abandoned mall.
Yeah, it might be the Rolling Acres Mall in
That might be
Akron.
it. And I don't know if that was the one too where the
Or
guy
has
got
that been demolished yet? I don't know. Let's see. Has it been demolished? 20, yeah, now it's been demolished.
yeah, okay. So the video that my wife and I saw would have been like from like the 2010s, maybe like
Okay,
mid to late
that could have been.
2010s.
Yeah.
And I don't know if
It
that.
said in 2019. No, and later demolition had finished in 2017.
Okay, so maybe that wasn't. I don't know. I feel it sounds like Rolling Acres. It sounds like that was the one. And I don't know too if that was the one that a guy died trying to get the copper wires out and didn't realize the electricity was still hooked up to it.
Mm,
I think.
I don't see anything about that in here,
Okay,
but who
I
knows?
think that was it. Yeah, because it's interesting. Like here in the kind of Philadelphia, New Jersey area, like the malls are like some of them have kind of gone away, but like some of them are still kind of doing well. Like there are still places that people go and hang out and do stuff, and it's such a
Yeah.
weird thing because like I know the mall where I grew up, they're getting ready to demolish that, and when I went up and visited in November, my mom before I had to go to the bus, we took a walk through it and I got some pictures. Uh, it's such a vibrant thing. Even as late as like the 90s and 2000s. That's now just like completely just uh, non-factor.
Going back to my magical year of 2019, that's when I worked at like the Sears, one of the last Sears,
Oh yeah,
which was attached to a mall. And it's, I mean, I just saw a story earlier that there's rumors that they're going to tear it down and put something else there. It's been closed now, obviously, since probably 2020. But yeah, I found myself working at a mall, which was nice because you could go down, to the food court. You
yeah,
pick something different every time you went.
yeah.
Yeah, there still was the Spencer. There was still the FYE. There was, a few things to. There was a movie theater, then it closed, but now they've got a like fancier movie theater there. Well, one of those, real nice ones. That's where I saw they had like the Superman premiere, like Cleveland premiere there.
Oh, but is it like an AMC like dine-in
It's a
type?
Phoenix. It's a Phoenix one.
Oh,
That's what it is.
okay. Yeah, I don't know if we have one of those around here. They must
Yeah,
have them in Jersey.
it used to be like I think it was just an AMC or maybe a Regal at the when I first got there it was there, but then yeah, I think shortly after I left, that was one of the. I think that may have went out before the Sears went out, but yeah. But yeah, there's still a J.C. Penney there. There's still a Dillard's. I mean, there's still stuff somehow surviving there at that mall. But I think we're down to like three actual proper malls.
Yeah. Yeah, they opened one here in Philadelphia just before the pandemic called the Fashion District. So when I moved here, it was called the Gallery. And for people like my wife who grew up here in Philadelphia, the Gallery and people who are listening to this that are from Philadelphia, probably when they hear me say the Gallery, it evokes all of these, ideas of a place. It was like this 3-story mall in Center City, right in the heart of Philadelphia. It was an interesting place. I remember I was tutoring an au pair in English, and she wanted to get Kentucky Fried Chicken. So we went to the Gallery, and I got yelled at by a guy dealing with housing insecurity who was hanging out nearby, and it was quite an experience there. So they demolished that and they put this Fashion District place up, which is like supposed to be like this nicer mall kind of thing. The only thing is they don't want kids hanging out there, and it's like, but it's a mall. Like, who do you think goes to a
Right.
mall? But what I do is I get my Taco Bell a few blocks down. And then if it's too cold out, I'll sit in the food court, even though there's not a Taco Bell in that food court. I'll sneak into the food court with my Taco Bell,
Yeah.
and
Confusing so many people. They see you there.
right, they think, "Where's the
Oh,
Taco Bell?" Yeah,
and they want. Oh man, you're a menace.
yes, exactly. Yeah, it's what they get me back because again, like that place is starting to fade. They're trying to figure out what to do with it. It's not doing well. One of the things they do is they close the bathroom near the food court, so it's like if
Oh,
I
they're
need
menaces as well. What
exactly.
is?
They're essentially saying to me, "Hey, you want to use our food court without buying food here? Well, you're gonna have to go upstairs. You're gonna have to go up a level to use the restroom."
Bastards.
Yeah, that's how they get you. Yeah, well, I guess we're almost towards the end of this now. Dolph is now he's doing the bender routine to try to take out the baddie, and so as he falls through onto the baddie and they're tussling, Mick comes charging through with the car. It looks like okay, maybe they're going to be able to take him out, but there's still a good amount of time left. The baddie takes Margot with him, takes his girlfriend or fiance, and they start going up some stairs. Now we know when we start going up to stairs and we go up to the roof, we've probably got ourselves a helicopter.
Yes.
Yeah. Now this is another subset of helicopter explosions. I think I've talked to Will about this before. He didn't really have an answer either way on this, but pistols taking out helicopters.
It can happen. Obviously, we see it here.
Yeah. The one that I always think of the most is Ring of Fire 3 with Don the Dragon Wilson hanging off a building and firing at a helicopter that's got an elderly man with an Uzi firing at him. And with a few shots, he blows the whole thing up. Yeah, I think also when we were talking about Midnight Warrior, didn't someone with a pistol
Midnight Warrior.
didn't somebody with a pistol take out a helicopter in that when the governor was doing his talk?
Yeah, I think it was just pistols because yeah, they were just like Secret Service guys. They wouldn't have like
Right.
freaking M16s with them. But yeah, they just kept shooting. Now the guys up in the helicopter had more superior firepower, but yeah, the guys on the ground, yeah, I think they just had pistols.
Yeah, all those poor people that were there and the dresses that they or the
In the
outfits they brought with
woods,
them. Yeah, drinking champagne out of plastic cups.
press conference in the woods.
Right, exactly, exactly. Yes, yeah, yeah. For people, if you haven't seen Midnight Warrior, check it out.
Midnight Warrior.
But also check out the podcast episode Chris and I were on, where we talk with John Cross about Midnight Warrior. Yeah, that was
Oh, that was a runaway train.
yes. There's a lot going on in that movie. Yes, but where this movie, I guess where they dovetail with this movie is Dolph. He so what happens is the the baddie, I think this is one of the places where Dolph really makes his money. Is the baddie is there, and Dolph just shows up and just starts just taking him out with his Dolph Kung Fu.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just this big monster of a man in Dolph, and Alex Kars's character is no match for him.
No.
It's just like Dolph is just immediately throwing elbows, knees, disarming him. The guy does get some punches in, but it's like they're just not effective. It's just it's interesting that I think Stallone recognized how Dolph was when he made the Expendables. He was like, there's no way Jet Li could defeat Dolph, no matter how good he is at martial arts. And for us, I think we would watch and just go, oh, it's Jet Li, it'd be fun.
Right.
But Stallone's like, no, that's, Dolph would just squash him, So they fought with the scaffolding to make it even, I guess. And again, hey, another new millennium, those guys back there. But but again, it's when you see Dolph like this, you're like, yeah, what would Jet Li do? Even with his great martial arts skills, it's like Dolph knows martial arts well enough that he can handle himself, and he's twice the size of Jet Li. It's like,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, Chester Lamb, you're no match for Sam Decker. And that's why, of course, obviously he had the fiance to try to tip the scales, do the mind games, but come on.
Now, and so then the CIA agent's like, well, why don't I shoot Dolph because I've got a gun, which sounds like a great idea in theory, except Dolph he's essentially manhandling, Chester Lamb, and he just grabs him and just, uses him as a human shield, and that's it. That's how Chester
leads the lamb to slaughter. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I guess fortunately enough, he's not the Everclear lead singer because we wouldn't have these tour dates now.
No.
Though I guess if there was ever a falling out, kind of like Journey with Steve Perry, they could plug Alex Karsas in as the new lead singer of Everclear.
I was about to say, like the Father Mine song, he leaves them, right?
Right. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
See, now, and I don't wish this upon anyone, but if the song was about his father beating him,
yes,
he may have been able to channel, if he saw his father in Sam Decker.
Right. Yes. That's a
that
good point.
Could have allowed him to defeat all that years of rage just come out, and the adrenaline would give him the advantage. Yeah. But no, instead he's useless.
Yeah.
And goodbye, Chester Lamb.
Yes, you're done. So now
this kick to the curb quicker than your Lisa Schrage did to you.
Well, because what happens is that Dolph sends him off the roof, and we get that really great shot of Chester Lamb as he falls. And then Dolph appears behind him when Lamb disappears, which is, again, to your point about this movie, we've been killing this probably for the past 2 hours, but it is a fun time despite us killing it. But I guess hopefully people listening realize that as we're killing it, but the movie doesn't do anything so egregious that you're just other than killing a couple teenagers, it really doesn't do anything so bad that,
Are we killing it softly,
right.
Roberta Flack? Are we?
Yes.
I mean, I think that's always kind of one of the things about doing these podcasts or writing reviews. If you just sit down and watch a movie just for pure enjoyment, you can enjoy it, but then it's when you have to okay, we're going to analyze this. Oh man, you can really fuck it up for yourself.
Well, and again, when you're talking about a movie whose premise is Die Hard in a school with kind of this teen gang as part of the fly in the ointment element.
It's almost like you're taking all the substitute, the troubled teens, and you're not that bad, but they're kind of borderline. They were trying to. It's a mishmash.
Right, exactly. So it's hard because I think when you're talking about, I think this movie was I think it was 98 minutes, but part of that is the credits and stuff. So it's not a drag of a movie. It's not complete. So you're talking about a 90-minute time killer. And again, when these movies were on USA, they were the perfect 11 o'clock in the morning. You're up, you're folding laundry or something. Detention is great to have on in the background. It's that
Mhm.
kind of movie. And but like you said, when you're watching it for a podcast, and it's you're not just trying to be entertained while you're folding laundry or whatever other errands you might be doing that don't require sound, so you can watch a movie. Um, yeah, when you're watching it for a podcast and you're just like, huh, that's interesting that happened there. That was a really interesting decision they made there. Let's discuss that. Yeah, it becomes a different story.
Right, or you start going down rabbit holes, finding out who Chester Lamb was married to,
Yes.
and that JT Barrow's real name might be Mofo. I don't really know how to pronounce that,
Yeah,
but
Faux, I think. Yeah.
I think his name is Mofo. I'm gonna go with it.
Yes. No. Yeah. I was trying because he looked familiar. I thought maybe I'd seen him in other stuff before, but I feel like I'd recognize his name if I'd seen him. So I don't
You
know.
recognize that Mofo if you ever saw him.
Now, yeah, and the funny thing about his character is that they're like throughout the movie they're sort of hinting about the fact that he might be the father of Alicia's baby, but it's a weird kind of hinting at it. I don't know. It's and then at the
I
very
think they just say it. I
right,
think they say it.
yeah, so it's like
And
he's not.
but like he doesn't, being the tip, like he doesn't seem like he wants to take
That's a
risk
good.
because she's like giving him the stink eye at times. It's like
Mm.
you're the one who made me this way.
Right, that's a good point. So it's almost like there was like a pregnancy, and then but they weren't a couple, and it was like yeah, and so it's like
Right. Yeah. It was not yet. Obviously, they were a couple for at least a few moments. But yeah, it was like a long-term relationship. It was a foolish teenage mistake. These things happen, folks. There's probably an after-school special about it,
yes,
a legitimate one, not the featurette
right,
on this DVD. If you're one of the elite who has the standalone DVD copy
yes,
of Detention by Sidney J. Fury.
yes, the blockbuster copy. Now,
He went over to his shelf and pulled it off.
yes,
Ah, yes. The vintage 2003
yeah,
Detention. I will now watch this.
right, exactly.
Let me put on my smoking jacket.
Yes, my connoisseur smoking jacket and pipe. Yes, while I'm watching my Dolph movies. That was the thing. The reason why I called it direct-to-video connoisseur is that whole idea. Is I wanted to be, Alistair Cook watching
Right.
Dolph Lundgren movies. And one, I didn't think about the fact that connoisseur is not easy to type or spell.
No.
It's easy to make mistakes with that. But two, I didn't think that a lot of filmmakers, especially low-budget filmmakers who saw that I was, if I poorly reviewed their movie, it didn't cross my mind that they would think I was like serious about that.
Yeah, they weren't in on the joke.
Right. They're like, oh, Mr. Connoisseur, you think you're such a connoisseur. Well, what are they? It's like, no, it's a joke. It's okay. You're right. So
Right.
yeah. No,
Like nobody thinks I'm smart. I mean, they realize that it's a joke that I'm the brain, but that's fine.
well,
Again, I stole it from Bobby Heenan, and I proudly admit that.
well, it's not that they think I'm smart. It's that they think I think I'm smart. That's
Yeah,
really
they think you're a snob.
right. Exactly. And that's, and it's like, so it was like two things that I got wrong there. It's like, lessons I could do TED Talks on how to start a website, and the two things that I got wrong. One,
I could tell. Can you do one on a podcast? Because I have somebody I'd like to sign up for it. But go ahead.
yes, exactly, that for sure. Yes. Now, one other quick thing I wanted to mention too about this dynamic between Alicia and JT is, do you think Knocked Up would have been more believable if Seth Rogen and Katherine Heigl had been in a Die Hard scenario and
Yeah.
fell in love that way after she got pregnant? Because for the most part, that movie doesn't really bring, just because the two people, she's pregnant with his kid doesn't mean that she suddenly finds him attractive. But
Right. No, yeah. There could have been drinking involved. I mean, obviously, JT was into the drug scene.
that's
because we
great.
saw him
Yes.
trying to purchase. And again, there's another thing. Like, hey, man, you got a kid on the way.
Yeah.
You don't need to be buying drugs.
No.
You should be buying, I don't know, baby stuff, diapers.
Yes. He needs to realize that, I think, and that's what's happening. Yeah, he's now at the end of the movie when that sort of that denouement moment where like the police are there, which is kind of funny with this denouement moment. Maybe we'll get to the final after Dolph sends out.
That's fancy talk, everybody.
Yes. So Dolph shoots the helicopter, and I guess he shoots the gas tank. Is that what's spewing
Sure.
out of it? It's some kind of white mist that's coming out of it, but it blows up and it's on the ground. And then in the aftermath at the end, where you got like the police milling around, people got characters have blankets on them sitting on the back of ambulances.
Oh yeah.
But we get the hose down of the helicopter, which I don't think I've ever seen that in a movie. That the helicopter that blew up, there's fire department people hosing it down in that sort of that aftermath scene.
Sure, it could blow up some more.
Right, exactly.
Got to be careful.
Yes.
There may be 2 tanks on that helicopter. I don't know how many gas tanks are in a helicopter.
Right, exactly.
Do you?
No, it's a great point.
You don't know shit from Shinola. What's that saying mean?
Right, exactly.
Where did that come from?
I don't know. I wonder if before TV, it just was people just coming up with sayings.
Right.
That's how you entertained each other, was you just outsaying each other, baby.
Perhaps. I'm glad I didn't live in a world before TV. I'll tell you what.
Yes, exactly. I wonder if there was because this has been before the age of social media. I wonder if there were people born in like the 1910s and or the 1900s, the aughts, the 1900s, who like after the advent of TV, they were like our age. But because there was no podcasting, no social media or anything like that, they were just hanging around playing poker or something. And they were just like, man, kids today, they can't come up with sayings like we used to come up with,
Right.
Yeah. It's like us talking about the old video store era. They're talking about the old sayings era.
I'm the one who coined a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush.
Right, exactly. Like,
what did you come up with?
Yeah. Well,
Hank?
you don't know shit from Shinola. Who came up with that one?
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah, Hank, you're great.
Right. Yeah. So there would have been a time in the 50s and 60s while like all these kids are watching the Beatles, on Ed Sullivan. Right. There's these guys in their 50s and 60s who were just like, God, I just remember, it would have been nice. Or maybe I should be going back even further, because at least at that time they had the radio and movies. So maybe it was people born in like the 1860s and 70s who were like, they're in their 50s and the 20s, and they're like, these kids today, they don't know about the outsayings each other times,
And what do you think? Like, do you think there was something like where these people would get together and talk about these movies, like a podcast, but not? It would just be like, I don't know, were they just going up on a stage and talking about? I don't think so. They would just go see the movie.
The radio show in the 20s would have been great for the movies. It would have been like the old timey radio voice. It's like I don't know.
That's true. Yeah. That's true.
There's a new talkie picture that came out today. Al Jolson stars in it. It's called The Jazz Singer. Everybody should go check it out. What do you think of it? Well, I had a chance to go see it.
Yeah, I love that exploding helicopter in it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The 20s would have been a good podcasting era if they'd had podcasts at that time. It would, I think,
yeah. Is that when they were doing the Charleston? I don't know, but
yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah, it's it's kind of how the way that these sort of things worked out. You almost wonder if some of these technologies were wasted on our era, if maybe previous eras could have done better. I mean, there's definitely some technology I think that we're probably better off. I think like the nuclear bomb, I do feel like maybe previous eras might, medieval times, I think, like the Crusades would have gone a little bit differently if there was nuclear bomb.
Yeah, I'm sure it would have.
Yeah.
This movie is making me think about a potential new feature on bulletproofaction.com where we tell the story after the movie.
Right.
So we can find out what happened to JT and Alicia. Did they hook up? Was JT at least a part of his child's life afterwards? Maybe these are things you should be writing your books about.
I could write a novel of this. So it would have started in 2004. They survive a Die Hard scenario. And then I would have to like learn a lot about Canada. That's the only thing, is I don't know enough about Canada to be able to write, because the laws are all kind of they're all different there in Canada. They have money. They have like loonies for money.
I hear about that. I wonder, like, is the kid named Hoagie as well?
They
With
named him
like the
Hoagie right after because
yeah,
after the guy, it was like, yeah, that they I wonder if
Hoagie.
they gave him the last name as the name and then Hoagie for short.
Yeah,
What was the name? Was it Hogarth or something like that?
Hoagie Hogarth.
Hogarth. So Hogarth would have been his name, and then
They just called him Hoagie for short.
yeah. So that's
And like she ends up with Mick Ashton instead.
right. They break up. Her and JT break up, and Mick is there to console her in the breakup.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So the tense.
yeah. I'm looking forward to. I've just given you $1 million idea
Yeah,
because a lot of people who saw Detention always wondered what came of all that.
what happened to them. I'm already in my head. I'm crafting the awkward post weekend visitation handoff between JT and Mick.
Or maybe you could like do, like obviously maybe you couldn't get a whole novel out of it, but maybe you do like after the movie Dolph Lundgren edition, and you just fill in all the Dolph movies that you want to do.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm trying to think of some other ones that you could do a good aftermath on. I mean, Command Performance. Does he go back to the States and start his own band? Maybe he's a producer and he produces like Nickelback style bands.
Maybe he produces Everclear.
He produces a new Everclear album that becomes a huge hit on iTunes in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that could. Yeah, yeah. I was trying to think of some of his other ones, like Missionary Man. I guess he would just go on and do more Missionary Man stuff, right?
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, I would see here that Sam Decker and Margot would go on to have their own set of kids.
Right.
Now Dolph eventually would become the principal of that high school, right? Because he sticks around. So
Yeah.
one of the things we learn at the end is he ends up sticking around. He tells the principal, like, hey, and the funny thing is the principal tells him, what did he say? You did good, Sam.
Yeah.
Which I feel like you did good is a little bit, I don't know, dismissive or
Well, I mean, perhaps he knows of Sam's.
yeah,
Maybe
maybe.
Sam confided in him about the Bosnia incident, and it was just kind of you did good, man.
Yeah. I mean, I feel you did good is like
Yeah, and let's
you drew a nice picture in fifth grade.
guys aren't always the best with
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
emotions as well. Now nowadays maybe more so. They're better, but
Yeah.
there was still he wasn't going to be like, oh my god, you saved these. He's going to be like, yeah, good job, man. You did good.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, but yeah. So Dolph, he's had an epiphany during this situation. So while JT has decided he's going to be a father, which going back to daytime talk shows, right? You think of Maury. I always remember the dads on those paternity test episodes. They always said, "I'm going to step up and be a man." When they found, now forget the fact that they were dancing around the stage like an ignoramus, like when they got there, and if he had said you aren't the father, they were going to dance around the stage like an ignoramus after that as well.
Oh yeah.
Forget that part. When they find out that the dad, they kind of put their head down and they're very stoic and they say, "I'm going to be a man. I'm going to step up." We never know what happens after the fact, but that's what they say.
Yeah, that could have all been. I think it was all fake.
Oh, and Maury. Yeah, we used to play a drinking game for that. Like I would tape the paternity test episodes, and then we would kind of drink. And so the way it would work is you'd have to drink if certain things happened. Like for example, if the mom points at the baby and then the supposed dad and says they look the same, even though babies look like nothing, right? They're just, it's like, and of course the crowd would always agree with her that like, yeah, it does look like him. And it's like, I don't even know where you're seeing that. Like, it's just a baby. Like, I don't, that's why they can be switched at birth because nobody knows what babies look like. They're just like, but of course that's, but then when the dad, when he gets out, he's like always dancing around, but then he always gives Maury the bro hug. So these were all things you'd have to drink for. And then I would pause it and you would have to guess, if he was the father or not. And if you got it right, you would hand out drinks. And if you got it wrong, you would have to take the drinks.
You could have developed a whole like VHS game.
Right. Well, because what happened was what we discovered was one of my friends. She was really good at reading the bumpers before the breaks. And so we would have to actually fast forward the commercials before the bumper because when they would give you the tease of what was going to happen on the next segment, she could read that and know who the dad was, whether it was the dad or not, like just based on the way that they were trying to set it up. Yeah, she was like really good at that part of it. So yeah, I was horrible. I think there was one where the mom and dad were there for two kids and he was the dad for the first one or something, or dad for the second one, but not for the first one. And I got them both wrong. And I remember another one where the woman said she was 100% sure instead of like 1,000 or 10,000. I was like, okay, this woman understands how percentages work. There's no way that this guy's not the father. And it turned out he wasn't the father. So I was horrible at it.
Yeah. Well, your liver pays for all of that right now.
It did for sure. Well, there was one friend of ours who was even worse, and so he was. Yeah, he.
Do you think it was worse on purpose that he just wanted to drink?
I know he thought he was going to be good at it, and it's actually it was his girlfriend who was like the one who could read the bumper. So I think it rubbed it in even more to him that like he was horrible and his girlfriend was the best at it. So
yeah, you can't have a girl beat you at anything.
Exactly, right. Which the rest of us didn't care.
That was the back in the day where you would just be like, "Oh yeah, good job, man."
Right, exactly. You did good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's the movie. I'm trying to think if there's any major pieces that we might have missed as we were kind of bouncing around. I don't know if there was anything that you wanted to touch on.
No, I think we got it all. Again, caffeine shirts. I'll try to do some research on it. Get with you on that if I find anything out, and perhaps I'll remember to talk about it the next time I'm on this program. But yeah, I think we got it.
Yeah.
Detention, new image. And I think I still like the movie. That's the only thing I'm unsure of.
I do think it is kind of interesting with this movie that, talking about new image, I don't want to say that there was a floor with their movies because I think there are some real rough ones of theirs, but it does feel like with them, with what they were making the 2000s on the budgets that they were working on, that most of the time you were going to be able to get something that, again, you were at least going to be entertained by. And I don't think you can say that about modern direct-to-video all the time now. And even back then, there's definitely some rough ones in the 2000s. So hats off to the New Millennium guys. I told myself ahead of time I was going to call them the New Millennium guys. It's the New Image / Millennium guys.
Right.
Yeah, I knew it. I was going to say New Millennium. I was going to warn everybody ahead of time because I kept making that mistake when I was going over, what I was going to say on the podcast. But I think this one fits in that category of like, it's not like one of their best ones. It's not like Cold Harvest or Special Forces, some of those Isaac Florentine ones that they did.
Oh, U.S. SEALs too.
And
that was the other thing. When I saw that, I'm like, I don't think I was thinking about this when we did the Ultimate New Image Countdown a couple of years ago. I'm like, Detention was nowhere on that list.
Right.
But then I'm like, I don't know that Detention deserved to be on that list. I mean, if it made it, I wouldn't be like, oh, that's ridiculous. Because like Bridge of Dragons did make it. But
yes.
I
love Bridge of Dragons. I always have the Bridge of Dragons rekindled my love of Dolph because my friend Ian found a used one for like $2 at Suncoast. I remember Suncoast used to sell used DVDs, speaking of the mall. And we watched it. We were like, what is this? This is amazing. And then I pulled out my old Showdown in Little Tokyo DVD and showed them that. And they were like, okay, it was kind of like one of those things, like we just got to get all the Dolph we can find.
Yeah, that's one I need to I know the first time I watched it, I did not care for it. I keep saying I'm going to go back and try again. And
no, it's not a care for it kind of movie. It's more of a so I would say it's kind of in line with this movie a little bit, but I don't know how to describe it because we did a podcast episode. I had Jeanette Ward on. We talked about actually it's her first time on the podcast. We talked about that.
Right. Yeah. Like I keep not like I'm like, oh, I should probably watch it again before I listen to this show.
You definitely should because we give it away. But it's worth checking out again. I don't know if your opinion of it is sort of going to change. I think it's one of those ones that like my friends and for us, it's like the kind of the best bad movie to like introduce people who don't watch these kind of lower budget actioners, because there's nothing really horrible in it. Because when you think about how many of those movies that we would watch where there might be like a rape scene or an animal getting killed, or there's things that you'd see in those movies and you'd be like, I don't know if I should, I mean, even like Showdown in Little Tokyo has stuff like that where you're just like, let's try Bridge of Dragons first, see how you do with that, and then we'll bring in Showdown in Little Tokyo.
You know what new image we should have talked about when I said great new image? How about Project Shadow Chaser 2? I mean, that is...
Oh, yes. Yeah. Because they get the franchise from Lloyd Samandel, I think, after part 1.
Yeah.
And so they do the sequels. But yeah, part 2. And it is kind of amazing when you think about like what New Image does with that versus Lloyd Samandel. That the New Image guys, again, like you can kind of see the difference in quality. Samandel has a great cast as well. He's got Martin Cove, Meg Foster. He's working at Pinewood Studios in England. But the New Image guys take that franchise and they're like, well, we're instead of Martin Cove, we're going to do Brian Genesee and Beth Toussaint. But you're going to like it. You're going to like it more.
I do. I love it.
Yes.
Every time I even think about it,
right.
I want to go get the movie and watch it again.
Right. It's like a perfect.
Stop myself.
It was a perfect one for you guys to cover for Christmas. I thought it was.
I know. And that's what. Yeah, it'd be like January. And I'm like, wait, I just watched it for Christmas time.
Mm-hmm.
So, right.
Yeah,
it'll be Christmas again before you know it, folks.
Yeah, exactly.
Am I right? I mean, as you get older.
Yeah, it comes quick. Yeah, the one that always gets me is the day before Thanksgiving. There's a sports radio show I listen to in Boston called Felger and Mazz, and they do bad high school sports calls because it's like football. Because in Massachusetts they do high school football on Thanksgiving, so they just collect all these ridiculous, sports calls. And it's like, it's every year when it gets to that day of, the day before Thanksgiving, I was like, I felt like I was just listening to these. It felt like this just came. And and for some reason, that's the one that always gets me more than any of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I reviewed this movie that we're talking about here, Detention, in 2007. So next year it's going to be the 20th. Well, technically the 20th anniversary of the site because it was like the first year I was in 2007. But I couldn't remember if I had seen this movie since I reviewed it. So it may have been like this my first time seeing this in 20 years.
I reviewed it in September of 2015.
Yeah, so a little more recent.
I suppose
10 years, still 10 years.
A decade ago, not a decade and a half, right?
Yes.
Almost 2 decades, really, for you, yeah.
Yeah, it is crazy when you think about that.
Here's what I said about Detention. Falls in my one and done category. It is not a movie you will want to watch dozens of times in your lifetime, but if you watch it once, you won't hate yourself. Well, there you go. That's pretty accurate, I guess.
Right, because you watched it and you didn't watch it again until this. Yeah, But
I may have watched it like, it depends. Like, did I watch it on my own to review, or did I watch it with my buddy Matt? And then I was like, oh, that was good enough to review. I should watch it again to review because I don't take notes while I'm watching with friends.
Right.
I do have a nice caffeine shirt picture in here.
Yes, yeah, that was the part.
Caffeine.
Yes.
Remember that summer in Canada? When all the cool kids were wearing caffeine branded clothing. That's the type of high level humor you'll get when you check out things over there. Bulletproofaction.com.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say, I wasn't going to push your review of this movie. I was going to say people should check out the new Millennium or the New Image / New Millennium list because
the ultimate New Image countdown.
Yeah, because that was a great one. I believe I was a part of that one as well. But there was a lot of great stuff in there, and it's one of those things where it's like I almost forget. It's interesting because I haven't put Millennium New Image in the Hall of Fame in part because I always felt like they were like this different kind of thing from PM where like they were making movies that were making direct to video movies, but then they were also making these other things like the Expendables and stuff like that, and it was hard for me.
That's why when we were doing the list I'm like, okay, try to just pick things that happened pre-Expendables because it gets so muddied. Because sometimes it would still be New Image, sometimes it would be Millennium. Yeah, you did a write up for Cold Harvest,
That's
which
right.
is we talked, and you also did a write up for I believe Shark Attack 3
The Megalon.
Megalodon, which
Yes.
is I have yet to watch that one.
Yes, you got to. Yeah, that one's a good one.
And you quote Billy Ocean in it,
It
so
did in the review because it's simply awesome, right? Is that what I said?
yes,
Yes.
as Billy Ocean would say, it's see that's interesting writing as well, folks. This is why I keep collaborating with the direct-to-video connoisseur, because I understand his humor and I respect his opinions on things.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Those collaboration ones that you Bulletproof that you guys do once a year, usually around the action anniversary time. Those are always a lot of fun. I think the first one I did was the Albert Pyun one. I think was that.
You may have done the PM. Did you do the PM one?
I don't know if I did the PM one. I can't remember. I thought it might have been the Albert Pyun because I think I remember reading the PM one because I think Will was on that one as well. I think, but maybe you're right. Maybe I don't.
I'm gonna look it up. I'm looking it up right now
because I feel like I read the PM one, but I don't know if I was in on it.
And that was Will's in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Will. Look, maybe you're right.
Because I think Will shared it, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. Let me see how many of these I've seen and like where my own ones fly." And then I think Pyun and then ninja movies. Because I think I was the only one who had a Godfrey Ho ninja movie on my list.
Yes, you may have been. Yes.
I was like, I gotta have a Godfrey Ho movie on here. Yeah. And I think with New Millennium it was like, okay, well, Shark Attack's got to be So.
Ultimate Albert Pyun countdown.
Yeah,
because I think see your name on here.
Because I think I did too. Because I had a
that's when I had everybody kind of just do a little blurb. Yeah, you did Sword and the Sorcerer. Yep, here you are.
Yeah, that's right. I remember writing the Sword and Sorcerer blurb. That's right.
Yeah, and then I just was like, you know what? Just everybody pick which one they want to write.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Because it was getting that have overflow of stuff, and
right.
Again, you learn as you do these things.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it is always a great way too because you kind of just get all kinds of different takes, and everybody has different ways of writing them, and
right. And there's movies that maybe I'm like, I like that New Image one. There was a bunch of movies that I had never, like Top of the World. I had never seen that. I don't even know if I knew that it existed.
Yeah,
I know now. Yeah, you did a Brain Smasher.
That's right.
In the Honor Radioactive Dreams. Omega Doom.
That's right. That was a good. Yeah.
Deceit. See, I never seen.
Yeah, see, I had Deceit, so that was one that I had that as my number 2. I always have that as my number 2 Pyun film because he made that using equipment that Canon and Van Damme ordered because they ordered him to do reshoots, and he didn't want to do the reshoots, so he used the equipment that they had for the reshoots to film Deceit at night. And so then he thanks
the ultimate FU movie.
Exactly,
is what you said.
Yes, yeah, because he thanks Van Damme in the credits, and I screenshot it. And I was like, "Oh, look at this! Van Damme thanked him," and everybody in the comments were like, "Oh, that's really cool. I wonder if Van Damme helped him make the movie and stuff." And Pyun, he commented and he was like, "No, that's not how that went down." I was pissed that Canon and Van Damme were ordering me to do reshoots, so I took the equipment and made my own movie with it. So
he was a resourceful gentleman for sure.
He was. Yeah, it's yeah. And so like a lot of people watch Deceit, they don't like it, and I totally get why. It's like I think it just has that special place in my heart because of that, because of hearing that backstory to it, just being like,
that's one I've never seen, and I don't even know if I heard of it until again. But that's why and like to invite people to be a part of that and get their thoughts, because I mean, I could easily just say these are the top, but that's what Letterboxd is for. That's your own personal thing,
right?
You could say these are the greatest movies ever, my opinion, obviously. But
I always
something different this year for Actionversary. I'm not going to say what just yet, but
yeah. Well, people should be, Actionversary comes in August, right? Is that
August? Correct. Oh, it's like Christmas. Everybody knows.
But people should go back to Bulletproof Action. I mean, I guess we're kind of on the plugs portion of the
Yeah.
episode anyway. But people should people should be checking out your site anyway. They should be checking out the reviews and everything. But those Actionversary collaborations, you get different flavors from different, people write different ways to talk about the movies. They find different things in the movies that they like, and so I've always enjoyed reading those. Even before I was invited to collaborate on them.
I mean, that was the whole point, and I like to. That's why we keep doing them, because I enjoy it. I think they turn out well. Yeah. And you may not agree, and I always say that same thing. I could ask these same group of people now about, okay, what's your favorite, and it could be a completely different list. Yeah. But that's lists. That's the point of a list. But yeah, definitely bulletproofaction.com. This is dropping in April, I believe you said.
Yes, the first week of April. So yeah.
Well, April 14th on the Bulletproof Podcast, it is episode 200.
Oh, nice.
And we will be discussing 1974's Death Wish.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Back to the beginning for Mr. Paul Kersey. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, I can't wait for that one, because what happens with movies, when you guys cover movies that I haven't seen before, I wait to see them before I listen to the episode, kind of like what you were saying with Bridge of Dragons. So what I do, if you're listening, a lot of times I'll have my computer like in the other room while I'm doing work or whatever for my working from home. I will have the YouTube episode playing, even though I can't listen to it because I want to wait until so you get the credit for the play, even if I'm waiting to actually listen to it. So that way it's like you eventually get a second play when I watch the movie, but at least, who knows when I'm going to get a chance to watch the movie. But at least the play is there, so yeah.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah, and so again, if YouTube's listening, but I don't think YouTube would they care. I don't know if YouTube would care. I don't know, because I'm still using their site, which is, I think, the most important thing for them.
Yeah, that's all they care about.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so you've got the podcast and the site. We'll have the link to that in the podcast description. Also, the YouTube channel. So you guys are a little different from me, because I have the podcast goes directly to YouTube, and I just end up uploading the thumbnail. But essentially, it just is the image of my podcast. The logo is there. But I was it. Ryan uploads the episode.
He sure does. So. Yeah. And I mentioned, I'm like, you could do it easy. And like, no, I want to do it this way. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
All right, sir. You're the YouTube man. So yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. It's you guys, especially with the I can't wait for the Death Wish one, but yeah, there's definitely some, in the past where it's like, oh, got to hear the bulletproof treatment of the movie. I think, Gladiator, the one with Cuba Gooding Jr.,
Yes.
And Brian Dennehy, that one was one I was excited. Obviously for Christmas, the Project Shadow Chaser 2 episode, that was
Can we watch that right now?
I know.
Jesus God.
It's Brian Genesee is one of those ones. We talked about him during Cold Harvest when we did that episode. He's one of those ones that and he's also Canadian, speaking of the theme of this episode.
That's right.
And I don't want to say he doesn't get the love, because I think he gets lost in the shuffle more than he should, maybe. That's maybe the best way to think of it, because I think we all appreciate him. It's just we don't often think, we're talking about a Dolph movie tonight. Dolph is a easy one to come to mind. You don't always think I got to seek out a Brian Genesee movie.
Right, and I said it on our when we cut Cold Harvest. That's the one that really hey, wake up, pay attention to this man, because he's so good in that.
Yeah,
and I think that was where I'm like, I'm going to go look for more Brian Genesee movies now.
Yeah,
because I freaking love that movie. It's one I think I streamed somewhere. It was like, nope, we need this on DVD, and it's like then I started getting more and more.
Yes. Yeah, I was introduced to him in Street Justice, and then when I started doing doing the site, I was like, oh, the Street Justice guy is doing all kinds of stuff here. I got to check this out.
Yeah, see, I didn't see Street Justice. I've seen it, and I love that. Yeah, that's a great show. Him and Carl Weathers were perfect in that. So yeah,
that was one. So when I was, I guess in the 90s, on on Friday nights, there was an independent channel in New Hampshire called WNDS. I don't know if they're still around, but they were known for just doing like reruns of The Simpsons and Star Trek. And then they had this weather guy, Al Caprillion, with a high pitched voice who'd be like, "Good evening," and he'd just like start talking about but that was it. But on Friday nights, they would do Renegade and Street Justice. It was like a block of those two shows. And for a Friday night, and again, I wasn't that old. I wasn't like in high school at that point. I wasn't like, old enough to be going out and doing stuff on a Friday night. So I guess that's probably why I didn't see like Boy Meets World or Step by Step or anything like that, because I was watching Street Justice and Renegade on a Friday night. But
that's good.
Yeah, it was a great deal. And Street Justice didn't last, and then I don't think they kept Renegade. I don't know what happened there. Renegade, I don't know if that was when it went directly to USA or what happened there. Because Renegade lasted a few more seasons after Street Justice, so it was still around. But
yeah, Renegade had a pretty good run.
Yeah, for a syndicated show. Yeah, well, I guess this is maybe as good a time as any. We could wrap it here. But yeah, again, people should check out the Bulletproof site and podcast. But thank you again, Chris, for coming on. This is another fun conversation.
Thank you, Matt. And hey, everybody, let me say it one more time. Taint.
Exactly. We're going to break that record. Exactly. All right. Bye, everyone.